Super Saturday kicks off with the Eagles and the Swans cracking in like it's 2005.
Skills he possesses.
Then it's the unbeaten Roos and the Cock-a-Hoop Suns in Rockets 600. Later, the Dogs and the Lions get romantic with the roof down and the lights dimmed at Etihad.
Bontempelli stole it out of the hands of Rowe.
Then, Danger and the Cats take on the Shanghai Power. Don't miss that one for all the tea in China. Super Saturday. Get amongst it, friends.
It's Eddie again. The killer blow. Enjoy this.
And I think that was the only laugh that David Koch had last week. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Super Saturday. It is indeed a Super Saturday. 4 great games lined up for you this afternoon and this evening, and you will not miss a kick. It's round 5. It got underway last night in sensational style. We'll have a look at the ladder because one of the sides we're featuring today is sitting on top of the AFL ladder, unbeaten at the moment going into round 5. I speak of North Melbourne. 4 and zip. Hawthorn, by virtue of their slender win last night, have moved into second spot. But the main interest is probably centering around clubs that are lower down, outside the 8, and some of them with major problems. Collingwood, for example, in 15th spot. News from the Magpie camp is that Travis Cloke is out of the Anzac Day clash. Did train this morning, but has been told that he will not be playing. He'll be playing at Victoria Park tomorrow morning in the VFL against Essendon. Sad for Travis because he made his AFL debut actually in the Anzac Day clash of 2005, and so for the first time he is out. No doubt more news on that story as it continues to unfold over the weekend. Things are much brighter up north. Just ask North Melbourne, Benny Brown and his teammates as they relax before their game this afternoon. 27 degrees at the moment on the Gold Coast, so it's going to be pretty warm for both sides. Let's have a look at the 4 games that I was speaking about coming away this afternoon and tonight. It kicks off at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Well, 10 years ago, these two sides, barely a kick separated them. It could be like that again this afternoon. Sydney and West Coast, 4th versus 7th on the ladder. The Gold Coast Suns and North Melbourne, well, the Suns belted the Kangaroos last time they met by a whopping 55 points. Things, however, have changed since then. The injury-hit Western Bulldogs are up against the Brisbane Lions, and they did a fine job last week to record their first victory. And then Port Adelaide, they were described by their coach last week as a disgrace. How are they going to react? Well, we're going to find out as they play host to Geelong. West Coast Eagles rooms in Sydney. There has been some drama there. There's been a slight delay. We understand it's going to be 10 minutes. We'll hear more of that shortly, however. But the West Coast Eagles have brought back Priddis, which is a welcome return for Matt Priddis. Wellingham for his first game of the season, and also McGuinness. Sydney, just 2 changes, Hewitt and Callum Sinclair playing up against his old side for the very first time. They come in at the expense of Towers and also Nankervis. OK, let's head up to the SCG to catch up with all the news now. Our team consists of 2 Hall of Famers, Hawthorn legend Jason Dunstall and Games record holder from the Western Bulldogs, Brad Johnson. And gentlemen, as I welcome you, you've had some early drama.
We certainly have. Good afternoon, Sandy. Good afternoon, everyone. Well, we know it is a very auspicious occasion, the Anzac weekend of rounds, but unfortunately, one of the 5 parachutists that was dropping into the SCG, delivering the match ball, has landed rather heavily in the centre square and required some urgent medical attention. But the good news at this stage is the ambulance that was starting to make its way out on the ground has been waved off. They loaded the parachutist onto the mobile stretcher and he has since left the arena. So we trust, given that he was in the best medical hands, I know the Sydney doctors were out there attending to him, we hope that everything is going to be okay. But Brad Johnson, it's certainly not the way we wanted to start the day, and we do have an official 10-minute delay to the starting time of this match.
Yeah, and to Sydney's credit, the club doctor was straight out, which was great as well. Everyone responded very quickly here, which is the most important thing, and we just hope that this young man is now okay. You can see the ball now. This is the ball being delivered before the start of the game today.
Yeah, obviously we're not going to show the incident itself, which would be a little distressing, I suspect, but hopefully that parachutist is going to be okay. We now turn our attention to the game, and you can see the umbrella over our heads. We have had some heavy downpours this morning, a little bit of brief sunshine earlier. The rain has just started to come in again, very windy. But we've got two of the league heavyweights going at it, Jono. They're both 3-1, and a very interesting matchup in the midfield is anticipated.
Well, it is, and I'm struggling to hold on to this umbrella at the moment as well, Jason. But you're right. Across the midfield, you've got Pritis, Shuey and Gaff, all responsible in different areas. Pritis number 1 for contested possession, Shuey number 7 for clearances in the AFL, and then you've got Gaff as well, who sits at number 5 for number 3 for uncontested possession. So when you look across that, they're up against some handy midfielders for the Sydney Swans as well, with Parker, Kennedy and Hanbury, all good in uncontested possession, all good in contested possession and clearances as well. Hanbury number 4 for disposals. I like Hanbury because he's got the right mix of contested ball and outside run, uncontested, can push forward and kick a goal as well.
And of course, it's not just about the midfield. We've got a couple of gun key forwards that are high up in the rankings for the Coleman medal. They're not going head to head. They won't be playing on each other, but they'll be hoping to dominate their respective ends of the ground in Buddy Franklin and also Josh Kennedy.
Yeah, that's right. Buddy's done it before. We know that. Can Josh Kennedy do it? I think he can. He's got the ability to do it. It's just whether he can kick 4 or 5s regularly against the best sides in the competition. West Coast, the position they're in at the moment on the ladder, they play against the best sides on a regular basis. He hasn't been able to consistently do it at the moment. He needs to do that if he's going to push for 100 goals. Needs to average 4.5, 5 against those sides, and then kick his 8s and 9s against the sides lower on the table.
Of course, it was 2008, the last time 100 goals was kicked by that man, Buddy Franklin. Do you think we have the chance to return to those days, genuinely?
Yeah, I genuinely do. I think it's a realistic chance. I think it may take a player, though, to do it maybe in a final series. If they get the 2 or 3 extra games in a final series, take their tally to 23, 24, 25 in a year, that's when we may see someone get 100.
All right, well, the weather's going to make life difficult for the key forwards, I suspect, but we're going to take a break. The Anzac Day ceremony not far away, and then we'll be into the action here at the SCG, hoping that those two gentlemen, Buddy Franklin and Josh Kennedy, are right in the thick of things. Stick around.
An inspirational goal from their king.
Here is Buddy, look at this. They're going to get to him. They've come from all directions.
Franklin and Talia, tip and Franklin, last man standing, out of my way, dribbles it through for a goal. And sent it long to the top of the square. Kennedy's got a couple of beats.
What a mark. Kept it low. Kennedy, full stretch.
Oh, great pack mark by Kennedy. Well, the medal is getting high there.
Welcome back to the SCG as we see the West Coast Eagles starting to make their way out onto the ground. There has been a 10-minute delay to the beginning of this match due to an incident with one of the parachutists that was bringing the match ball into the ground. One of the 5 parachutists landed very, very heavily in the centre square. But we can bring you some good news, having spoken to the Sydney doctor, that he believes the parachutist will be okay. He had regained consciousness when he was loaded into the ambulance, and hopefully a full recovery will be made. Sydney Swans also making their way out onto the ground as we welcome Cam Mooney to the coverage this afternoon. And Moons, we speak so much about the experienced stars for the Sydney Swans. There's a few other players that are starting to carry the load as well.
Well, I guess the one we want to talk about here is Isaac Heaney, and just what a special young player that he really is, Jono, and he is becoming. He's only his 19th game, and yet this guy is just such a compliment towards to the likes of Buddy. We just see here, we talk about his work inside, how he can mark a ball. We know he's great overhead, on the ground, he can kick goals, but it's his work outside of 50, Jono. He's the second best player as far as getting shots on goal for his teammates when he kicks the ball inside 50. And you look at the highlights of him here, I mean, that's just a fantastic moment. Watch how he lands here, Jono. He's just like a cat. He just lands on his feet and he's off again. You know, this is really hard to do when you're a young man. He's just an absolute brilliant young player.
Oh, it's tremendous balance, isn't it? You can just see there, look, he hits the deck hard there. Players can stay down. He's up, he's going, he's staying involved. You can see the energy around the contest. He's got good feet, good positioning, and he's got a good jump. Look at him take the ball at the highest point there. That's just pure talent to be able to pick up the flight of the ball, coming in at speed and take it. Even this one, he doesn't mark, but keeps it to his advantage, keeps his feet, and then he'd be able to bring his other teammates into the game.
He really does have a perfect all-round game, Jace, at the moment for a young guy who's coming into the game. Like you said, fantastic overhead, on the ground, outside 50. He really does complement this forward line very well.
And the great thing is, Jono, he's not the lone hand in terms of the young guns coming through. We've seen Tom Papley have an impact up forward. Callum Mills is another. George Hewitt. They're blessed with some quality youngsters coming through.
They've got a great mix, haven't they, at the moment, with experience, and then the youth are coming in with good experience around them, which I think's helping out as well. Mills has gone down back. He's got a couple of key backs down there that can help him. And Papley, you mentioned, what an impact in his first couple of weeks of footy. He's been steady the last couple, and he's held his spot. So he not only kicks goals, and we love the fact that he's hit the scoreboard, but his pressure down there is very good. And Mills is working his craft really well off half back. McVeigh in around there in recent times will help him as well. And just the growth of him as a player, a young player, is significant on the back of, I think, Richards and Grundy being the bigs down there to help him.
I think they've done a fantastic job of regenerating the team list and making sure that they're not relying on the same stars as they get older, but they're getting some quality players starting to come through. Let's go to the West Coast Eagles lineup for a moment. And that man there in the number 23 jumper, what sort of homecoming is he going to get, mate?
What do you think he's going to get, Joe? Look, he's he's a premiership player at this footy club, and he had a great grand final. We know that he had a really good career here at Sydney, but that doesn't matter.
No,
we saw young Cheney last night, who got booed by the Hawthorn supporters. So he's going to be booed tonight. That's fair enough, because that's what you do when you're now playing for the opposition.
The big cheer when he was bouncing along centre wing at the MCG to cheers today.
We all forgotten.
If he does that today.
But he's going to be very nervous, Jace, no doubt. You always play against your old side for the first time. It's really nerve-wracking. The game goes through your head on dozens of occasions the night before or the week leading into it. And usually what we see a really poor game. So hopefully for his sake, he hadn't played his game in his head already. He comes out and plays well.
Another interesting player today is Sydney ruckman Callum Sinclair. Now, an interesting sidebar. We had a very intriguing flight up this morning where Cameron Mooney was asked by a Sydney punter on the plane whether he thought Sydney would go okay, and he said Sinclair might be a late out. And Cameron Mooney remarked to this gentleman that he didn't think Sinclair being in or out would make any difference to the result, at which time he found out that Sinclair's father was standing next to this gentleman, who didn't take kindly to that, and he backtracked very, very quickly. But Moons, the good news is Callum Sinclair is playing.
Well, because he's a super player.
And what sort of impact will he have?
And with Sinclair in the side, they're an absolute shoo-in to win today, let me tell you. But it was a little bit of foot in the mouth, let me tell you.
Your final thoughts on today's match, Shona? Which way are you leaning?
Oh, look, I'm leaning towards West Coast. I still am. I think it's really, the conditions are actually not too bad at the moment. And I think with that big fella in the middle of the ground, Nick Naitanui, he pumped the ball forward for him, get them going, and they block it in so well in the forward half.
Moons?
Look, I'm the same as John. I picked West Coast early in the week, even though the conditions probably did want me to sway my pick, but I'm still going to have to go West Coast on the back. I think Naitanui really can be damaging through that middle of the ground.
I'm going for the home team, the Sydney Swans, but it should be an absolute beauty. We're going to take a quick break here at the SCG, back with official proceedings before this blockbuster in just a moment.
There's a new member of the Foxtel Sports family. Welcome to beIN Sports, the world's greatest football on 3 huge new channels. The UEFA Champions League, Europa League, and the only place to see every game of Euro 2016 in HD. Plus Bundesliga, La Liga, and so much more. All part of your Foxtel Sports Pack. beIN Sports on Foxtel, the home of live sport.
We watch, we listen, and we remember.
People like to tell me things, the naughty little desires that are on their mind.
These things are everywhere. They're all around us. This is a surprise.
To kill the monster, you become the monster.
What's your name?
Lucifer.
The long night is coming. And the dead come with it.
We're in the great game now. And the great game is terrifying.
They think they've won. Sometimes you have to lose control to gain it.
Watch the world's best new dramas in your drama pack.
Well, the Couch has been an institution in footy for the best part of 15 years now.
It's where you get real, honest opinions, along the way having robust debate.
A lot of issues tend to unfold throughout Monday. A few things come out that clubs always try to hide, and when they get out, we talk about them on the Couch.
We've had some big name guests over the years, and each week it's really exciting to see who that guest's going to be.
Monday, special guest Essendon captain Brendan Goddard. On the Couch, live on Fox Footy.
Welcome back to the SCG, and after a 10-minute delay, we're only a few minutes away now from the bounce of the ball. Should be a fantastic game between Sydney and the West Coast Eagles. The Eagles, very unfamiliar territory here at the SCG. Some amazing numbers about some of the players, the lack of times they've played. About half the team haven't played here at all. Only 3 of them have played more than twice. We'll talk more about that. Let's go down to Cameron Mooney, though, first of all, and get an update on this weather and the conditions that we're going to have this match played in. Moons?
Oh, yeah, thanks very much, Hunter. Look, these conditions are pretty ordinary down here at the moment. It's very extremely windy. You look at the flags at the top here, it looks like it's going right to left, but when you're down here at ground level, it's extremely swirly. We're seeing a little bit of drizzle coming in right now that is supposed to pass over the next half hour to an hour. So hopefully, by the end of the day, guys, we're going to get really nice conditions.
All right, thank you, Moons. In the lead up to Anzac Day on Monday, there's observance ceremonies in each state, including here at the SCG. Let's join Adam Spencer.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Australian Football League and the Sydney Swans and West Coast Eagles football clubs invite you to join the coaches, players and umpires as we honour the Anzacs and all those men and women who gave their lives in the service of their country. Our thoughts too are with those currently on active service. Would you please stand and remove your hats for the Anzac observance. To join us on this occasion, we welcome Commodore Luke Charles Jones to recite the ode.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them, lest we forget.
forget. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please remain standing for the Australian National Anthem, to be performed by Amelia Johnson and the Australian Army Band.
So we're ready for action now on this overcast, dreary Saturday afternoon in Sydney. Two sides with huge credentials, and we know that all teams believe it's a real honour to be playing on this Anzac Day weekend, and it's always handled with such respect. And speaking of respect, the West Coast Eagles will be wearing black armbands today for Eagles board member Jeff Rasmussen, who lost his brave battle with cancer last night. A very popular man amongst the West Coast Eagles and in Perth, and he leaves behind his wife Bron, children Sophie, Sammy and Josh. So all respect there and best wishes to the family. But certainly the West Coast Eagles and the Sydney Swans will both be pumped up and ready to go for action this afternoon as the two skippers meet in the middle.
Yeah, I think it's an eagerly awaited clash, particularly from those in the football community that want to see exactly where the pecking order might lie with some of the heavyweights of the competition. I think most people have these two teams at least in the top six. Exactly how high, we're not quite sure, but if the weather can stay away, we might get a reasonable guide, Jono.
Yeah, I think so. West Coast had a big game against Hawthorn earlier in the year where they let themselves down in that one. Sydney in a tight one against a real contender in the Adelaide Crows last week, where they just got beat in that last quarter, the last 5 minutes of that game. So it's going to be a great start to this contest. Yes, the conditions have been a bit windy.
Well,
and
who do you
wet.
think the conditions, does it favour either team?
Oh, look, out there at the moment, Hutto, look, it has dried off. There's a lot of wind, so it's sort of dried off the water off the top of the deck. I think it's going to suit both teams, because both crack in. If whoever can get the best outside clean ball, it may work, because we know the dominance of the power forwards up forward at either end, and can Buddy produce for us in what is a big game.
Well, you just put 4 goals down, don't you? At about between 16 and 18 possessions.
Yeah.
And of course, plenty of eyes on the big forwards. Also, Lewis Jetta, as the boys talked about earlier, returning to the SCG, where he's played 45 games previously. Jack Redden's played 5. Josh Kennedy's played 2. The rest of the Eagles have only played 1 or no games at this ground. And it's not a normal ground, the SCG, so it will be interesting to see if it has any effect on their defensive structures particularly.
It's very wide, very wide.
It is wide, and that's where you have to use the width of the ground when you're trying to break down an opposition defensive zone, because it's very easy to cover the corridor from end to end. You've got to use the full width of the ground.
They haven't won here since round 9, 1999, the West Coast Eagles.
They've played some close ones, though. They have been close a couple of times.
And they haven't played many games here, to be fair. There's been a lot of games in Perth and also out at Stadium Australia. But it's all about the present right now. The Sydney and West Coast lineups. McVeigh came back to the team last week. He's alongside Jetta. They'll know how damaging he can be. Final selection, boys.
Sydney for me.
West Coast for me.
Oh, it's all set up, isn't it, from the SCG? Enjoy your afternoon watching the combat in action of the tap down. And it came Parker's way. Sends them inside 50. Clears the pack. McGovern was so dominant last week. Papley had a quiet one. And that almost crept in.
Big start. That's pure out of the middle. Tap down. Big clearance. Front and square. You can't ask for much when it comes to the first centre bounce of the game, except that going through the goal is the only other thing. Look at Hearn going straight down the middle here, the shortest way home.
Wouldn't Papley love to have dobbed that one after just 5 disposals last week? He's been outstanding for them so far this year on debut. And there he is again on the frame, right in the middle. He takes the mark from the jack kick. And they've kept the ball on their terms so far.
Watching McVeigh as well in that first centre bounce, he went up to Jeddah, shook his hand, and then gave him a nice whack afterwards.
Interesting to see Hearn go long down the middle. You could see the ball hold up in the breeze. There's no doubt that Sydney have the advantage of the breeze, although it can swirl here.
Well, Hutto, just before that, Jeddah was running through and the whole forward line of Sydney ran through him and knocked him around.
Here's young Tom Papley. It's gone hard left.
Well, it's disappointing for him. 2 opportunities. A left foot snap that hit the post, and now a set shot for it. Obviously wasn't comfortable with the range. That's a good change of direction. And a good early touch for Jeddah.
So he takes it, sees Hill, comes into his line of vision. Kennedy and Grundy about a kick and a bit ahead. Now they're in the range, and Kennedy coming up to the ball. Grundy trailing him in.
Great kick, and that's what they've got to do. They've got to kick the ball well, West Coast this afternoon.
That's not a good kick.
Yeah,
that's not. See, that's what we're talking about. You've got Jeddah with the pure kick out of defence. You've got Hill with the beauty up to half forward. The next one has to be just as good, which is the most important one, inside forward 50.
Ted Richards calling on Dane Rampy to come back and get on Jack Darling.
It's interesting because I thought Richards might have been the one that played that role, but he's now going to Lacroix.
Well, Darling is in outstanding form after not having a pre-season last year. Really felt it as the year went on. Didn't really ever hit his straps. As good a player as he is, but this year's a different story. McVeigh takes it and keeps on coming. Just the automatic play on, and you can see the rewards of that.
Oh, got Sinclair long.
And Franklin, he decided to go it alone.
Oh, Callum Sinclair had run down the far side of the corridor. He was all on his own heading to the goal square. And unfortunately, the ball was trapped on the other side and they didn't see him.
There he is, Moons' boy.
If he sees his old man, he'll apologise to him again.
There's no hiding it now. McGovern kicks the half back, and Schofield read the swirling nature of the kick.
I was hoping to just let that slide under the carpet.
Not a chance with mates like us, Moons. The kick goes back to the wing. Oh! It's about 3 Swans coming in, and Hill has earned the free. Callum Mills standing the mark. Both he and Heaney so exciting for the Swans.
Like the foot skills earlier of the West Coast Eagles, they're hitting targets. It's been impressive in the conditions.
Gaff fresh from 33 disposals last week. Natanui in front, tip it from behind. Darling. Kieran Jack as busy as you like. Marston got it to Pritis, and here's Kennedy in the focus. Oh. Goes to ground, the ball curling back towards goal.
That's a good, honest battle between a couple of heavyweights.
Just strength here. Strength by Kennedy to hold his feet there to push back onto him.
Dangerous kick in, and Natanui had the read on it.
Well, Hanbury not happy either. Interesting to see whether he can kick the goal from this pocket. It's a tough one, particularly the way the breeze is.
Watching a few boys from this situation in the warm-up, and
the ball went pretty straight.
It did go straight. We had a little bit of a chat to Josh Hill about that, and he was saying the ball was going straight through.
Natanui doesn't.
He looks like he's going to chip it. Yeah,
did not look convinced at all. Sets it up instead for Kennedy to go run at it. But
you know, we see that happen a lot, Hutto.
Too close to
want to chip it. They want to chip it, but they never chip it to the advantage of their teammate. No. Now, pick your bloke. Pick a spot 10 in front, give it enough height that he can lead and jump at the ball.
Don't chip it either, Hutto, when you've got all these numbers back in your forward 50 anyway. Have a shot from that pocket.
The path to goal was well mapped out there.
He had Shepherd in a headlock.
He knew he had the size and strength advantage on him.
Well, the kick went to the wrong side of the contest. That was the problem.
Good win for the Eagles, and so is that.
McGlynn's got the big job on Gaff today as well, so that's a big responsibility for McGlynn.
Top 10 in the AFL for contested marks this year is Nick Natanui. Jeddah inserts him. This looks good for Kennedy, but it slides past. Grundy, very wary and getting more and more concerned, and it gets there. Great goal from Kennedy.
Did well to control that. Josh Kennedy, the ball running away from him. He's got West Coast, Sydney Swans players coming from everywhere on him. This is the mark first that set it up from Natanui in front of Tibbet. That's a brilliant grab.
Yep. With your eyes closed.
Yeah, it is. He can do it all. Jeddah's provided some good run early on. Good long ball in. And here, Kennedy gets past Grundy, wants the ball. You can see that just a pure mindset there. Got there before Richards diving. Great control on the dribble.
They won't want that isolation. I mean, no defender does these days. It's all done in numbers, but Kennedy's such a threat. Start of the year in brilliant style. It's just dropped off a fraction in terms of goals. Kicked 2 goals, 3 last week against Alex Rance, of course. Tough man to come up against. Hanbury gets the Swans going again. Into Franklin. Good scrap down there with McKenzie. It's going to be some duel. Buddy wins it on the ground. It's hard to be clean, though. Lloyd out to Mills, drifting into the 50, and then to Hanbury. It's just give to the man you see at the moment. Tipper changes that. Sinclair to the front, away from Hewitt. Gaff on guard. Wellingham back in the team. His first game for the year. Shepherd, and it's well contained. Hearn had some options. They're moving it nicely, aren't they, the Eagles, from what we've seen so far?
Yeah, great skills coming out of the defensive end across centre wing. Their ball use by foot has been excellent.
Lacroix plonks that on the wing, and it wasn't just as we say that. Yeah. Hands it straight back to Mills.
Twice I've said that now, Hutto, and twice they've turned it over.
Mitchell coming off his quietest game, and it's a relatively quiet game for Tom Mitchell last week. 22 disposals. He's in career best form. Goes wide for Heaney. 4 goals last week, up against McGovern at the moment. That's appetising for the fans watching, and that's not a great kick either. Markor out on the full.
Gaff's going to have to be careful of McGlynn. You can see them running on screen now. McGlynn just trailing about 5 metres away from him, but when the ball's coming forward, McGlynn is... I know that Gaff is trying to get in the web and get in a defensive position, but McGlynn's very dangerous and can score goals on you, so he has to be careful, Gaff.
Hanbury just tried to wait the kick for Franklin. Had the brush past the umpire on the way, but Buddy's taken the mark and is going to line up for his first.
Just gave a little bit too much latitude. Eric McKenzie was sitting 3 or 4 metres off, and there was a nice clear corridor lead for Franklin straight up the middle. And as soon as Hanbury got the ball, he was off.
And the weather closing in a bit too. Moons, we'll get to you in a moment. We'll watch the kick first of all from Buddy Franklin. As we said, 4 goals each week. Out a bit to the left, and then bang, it's straight through. And the Swans back in front. Excellent start here at the SCG. Moons, is that rain getting a bit heavier and the wind?
Look, it's not too bad down here, guys, to be honest. Just a little bit of a sprinkle, but Jay, it's just his work rate at the moment. And you know when Buddy's on, when he's really working hard, and yes, this is a great lead, and got too much room there from McKenzie, but just watch him up and down the ground at the moment. His work rate is phenomenal, and when he's really working hard, you're in for a real working day if you're a backman.
Buddy Franklin has moved now to 723 goals. He's 19th of the all-time goal kickers. Just goes past Harry Valance. Wayne Carey and Peter Hudson are on 727. So if he kicks 5 goals, he'll join Carey and Hudson today.
He'll be looking at them in the rearview mirror very, very soon, Hutto, and he'll just start chalking them off as he goes.
Second highest left footer, too, in history in terms of goal kickers. Oh, there's some high contact
behind
there.
who?
Matthew Lloyd.
Right out behind. Right out. Take it out, Harry. Hey, right out.
So Kennedy comes to the footy after the Redden kick. McGuinness, who's into the team today. Gaff tries to fashion that one towards goal. Had a pretty fair fist of it too.
Boys, Jeremy Laidley in a little bit of trouble after that big hit. He's got the staggers here at the moment.
Yeah, I can see him there as well, Moons, and I think it was Kennedy who came in from behind just to crash that.
Yep, that's exactly
pack.
Right.
McVeigh gives it plenty. Shepherd was able to see where it was going, but Tapley beat him with a punch. Takes the mark, tries to bounce up off half back. Tried to be a little bit too cute in the conditions. Wellingham. Marston runs straight into the heaving tackle of Nick Smith.
Look, yes, it's a mistake from Tom Papley, but he made it trying to play on quickly, so I don't think anyone's going to mind. That was just Laidley getting cleaned up by Kennedy, and he got the whiplash head into the turf.
It's a good example of the mindset of the way footy's being played at the moment, Jason, isn't it?
Oh, we love that quick play on football. It's brilliant.
McGovern, whose brothers made quite an impact in the past couple of weeks. Tricky for McVeigh, and it's over and out.
So Kennedy and Prittis look to be going head-to-head, which is an interesting battle.
McGovern, well, he was on Franklin for a moment away to your left, but he's in between Schofield at the moment. There's the high ball hit up by Lacroix. Swans had an extra body there. Richards tried to wade through. The release was good. And now Rampy had to rush the kick. Out to a one-on-one. Butler plays it in front and gets it over the line and out of bounds. Not deliberate, the early call from the umpire.
It's interesting. We saw Mackenzie on Franklin when he kicked that first goal, but now that Tippett's playing forward, Mackenzie goes to Tippett, which leaves Schofield, who's a really good runner, to go on to Franklin, and you'll see McGovern drift as that loose, tall down back, trying to take the intercept mark at every opportunity.
Which he did so well last week. Oh, Kennedy, milestone game for him.
And after last night, his brother looks an exciting player too. The two McGoverns, they look like they can mark the ball, that's for sure.
Jace, it's an interesting matchup, that one with Schofield, isn't it? I mean, yes, he's very quick on the lead, but for pure body strength in those one-on-ones, I would have thought Mackenzie would have been the better matchup.
He might be, Moons, but you know what? Franklin doesn't take that many one-on-one marks. He's more your mobile player.
The way it's looking at the moment is that if Tippett comes up to play as the ruckman, that's when Mackenzie will move over onto Buddy.
Well, it could have been high, but it seems it wasn't. It could be holding the ball. Well, it wasn't that either.
Easy, cut it out. No freeze.
As you look at the Sydney forward line,
Keep the meter.
largely vacated except for that man Buddy, and Tippett creeping down towards the wing to try and provide a path, and that's the side of the ground where the ball is now.
Deliberate.
But a long way from home.
A few players put their hands up from West Coast saying deliberate, but I think the umpires are getting to understand that rule a little better too as the weeks go by.
But he's starting to settle, isn't it?
So scores level. It's going to be a grind this afternoon. Plenty of rain today in Sydney. Wind as well is another factor. The elements could be very important. McGuinness came to this side preferred for Giles in replacing Lysette in terms of the big man into the team. Nifty little hands. Doesn't get the Swans out of there though. Good tackle from Mitchell, but he's a bit of a brute, is Darling, and at least he found something on the way through.
Just saw this earlier with Lacroix coming through the contest. This is why he's so dangerous as a player. You can see him just coming through right now in front of that contest. No one goes near him. That's how he gets out. He goes up to stoppage, then he runs forward with no one on him. That's the smarts of Lacroix to be able to play as a forward, push up to a stoppage and have an impact as well.
Holding Matt Prittis, West Coast. Help on the jumper.
Prittis, who returned to the West Coast Eagles side today after missing last week with injury. Game number 201 for him. Early leap from Kennedy. Just got it slightly wrong.
Good looking lead. Yeah, could nearly have been pinged given he didn't touch the footy.
So boundary throwing. Crowd quiet at the moment.
Well, Kennedy's already crashed Laidler and now he's into the back of Richards as well. He's not letting the spare have an impact in the contest.
It's a competitive start by West Coast.
Well
that's
trapped.
On the road, I'm sure they'd be pleased with that. Although now they've got some chasing to do as the ball sneaks out to Cunningham. He knew what he was doing with the handball, and so did Laidler to duck out of the tackle from Shepherd. And now they're on the move and getting some adventure going on the wing. Lloyd not perfect, but okay to Jack. Papley with the angles, got Buddy on offer. Well, Tippett's down there as well. Tossed up high. Kennedy resting forward. At the back of the pack, it's Butler. And it's close to the line, and Butler sees it there now.
The option to Kennedy was actually a really good kick. It just sat up too high. He was the loose player. But because the kick was so high, it allowed West Coast to get across and spoil the footy.
Papley's had an excellent start up to 6 disposals. He was the one who trapped it when you said great trap inside defensive 50. Then was the one who kicked it inside forward 50. So his work rate's very high.
Prittis, not enough on that kick. Slight fumble, McGlynn under the greasy conditions. Marston back to the wing, but Grundy.
It's going to be a great battle, this one, Grundy and Kennedy. He'll back himself to mark the ball, Heath Grundy, when he has the opportunities.
Does it there, not that well directed, although Parker, we know what he can create. Gets it to Mitchell, Wellingham, nice pick up under the circumstances. McGovern, he'll just slam it. Right out towards the wing, Darling. Imperious in the air, lovely mark, shares it with Prittis, kept on coming. Reached a bit of an impasse.
I was about to say can't go long because Richards is sitting back there, and that's exactly what he's done.
Back to Grundy again. A lot of footy they've played together.
That one with Prittis, I think he needs to keep running past that contest, not call for it on his right leg.
Yep.
Because they had a right footer as the next release, which would have kept the ball coming this way for West Coast.
Watch out, Buddy was coming. Sorry, John, I thought Buddy...
No, that's fine, go for it.
Come up with something special. Kennedy, in his 150th game for Sydney, to full forward. Oh, that man Sinclair!
I like it, and it's going to be paid a 50-metre penalty for a push. I think he's going to bring him round right to the goal line in front. He didn't play on Callum Sinclair. I like that because he had someone right behind him. He knew he'd taken the mark. He just rode the contact, and then he kicks the easy goal.
Which he does now. And that gives Sydney the lead. Missed last week with that foot or toe injury. And just a couple of weeks ago, career best 3 goals against Carlton. Makes it a good start here against his old team.
And that's his first possession too, Sinclair, so he'll be happy to have that one under the boot.
This is Keith Cam. We've got here the old-timer behind the fence there for the Sydney Swans. Has been there, starts the song every game as well.
Old Keith Cam, he nearly left this world.
It's Kenny,
sorry,
Kenny. It's Kenny. I said Keith Cam.
Yeah, then I followed you.
Yeah, Kenny Cam.
Oh, Natanui gets them quickly. Rampy.
And Kenny nearly left this world when Plugger decided to
yes, he did.
drill one at him years ago.
Duggan maybe a little unlucky not to get a free. Elliot Yeo was so dynamic last week. Hanbury, part of this hard-working, powerful Sydney midfield, which is surely going to test West Coast today.
Sinclair would be thrilled that he's got a goal under his belt, and I reckon Lewis Jetta would be relieved that he got a couple of early touches as well. Nothing better than settling in early against your former team.
Yes, the summer trade is in action against each other today. Marston, and they collapse on top of him.
We saw a real quick outside game last night. You just don't get the feeling we're going to get the same type of game today. A lot more inside, really hard struggle.
Parker and Lloyd had no awareness, just oblivious. Oh, he's got a free.
I thought Josh Hill actually rolled him perfectly then. I thought it was a great tackle.
He might have been feeling guilty about it because he's handed it straight back. Duggan tries to put it in front of Darling. Darling's done very well. Saw off Rampy. Kennedy's manufactured a kick, which was never online.
Guys, just quickly, Jeremy Laidler just going down underneath with the doctor at the moment. I reckon it's just after that big hit. He's kept playing the game out, so I think he's okay, but he's just going down for a quick check.
I think Josh Kennedy just copped the low one too. He's sucking in the big ones at the moment.
Natanui, well done Tippett, was as steadfast as he could be at the front. Prentice trying desperately to find that left boot, and he found the left boot. He just couldn't find the major opening.
He stepped around 2 blokes in the space of 1.5 metres.
Yeah.
Without really moving much.
He's correct.
Some blokes can just do it, can't they? Smith, or they're trying to hit those aggressive targets. Hewitt back in the team today. Parker trying to take on the world. Redden's a hard man to get past, though. He found that out. Mills back to the wing. They're outnumbered here, the Swans. It was always going to be tough for Papley. And the Wellingham who sends them forward. Trainer's got to get out of the road. Hill came late. Here's Prentice again on the 50. The architect through to Yeo. And well done by McVeigh, although he doesn't mark it. The greasy ball, the factor there.
What we have seen already in the first quarter, one of the criticisms or one of the question marks over the Sydney Swans was, do they have enough good kickers in their back six? 3 or 4 times they've turned the ball over, not getting back from the mark, picking a target that perhaps is a little bit risky, and they've created turnovers. Lucky they haven't been punished.
Especially when they're getting so much uncontested ball at the moment. Double that at West Coast.
Luke Shuey, who has won a few of those type of free kicks. What a player he is, though. He was outstanding last week in Perth against Richmond.
No arguments from that free kick, though. Luke Parker just walked away, nearly ripped his head off.
Yeah, it started high and got higher, didn't it? He had 95% disposal efficiency last week in his 22 disposals. And Luke Shuey, he's just getting better and better as the years pass, and he's able to sneak that one through. And the West Coast Eagles are back in front at the SCG, and they've done plenty of attacking, 13 inside 50s to 10. How are you reading it, boys?
Yeah, look, it's just a tough game at the moment. That's where you've got to be effective with your tackles in tight. Shuey's very good. He gets in low here, gets the body in low, draws that free kick, goes back and slots it.
I have to apologise to Luke Parker. I thought it was Parker. It was actually Daniel Robinson. They were both going for the tackle, but it was Robinson that put the high one on.
And that's his 4th goal for the year as well, Shuey. He's starting to kick more goals now as a midfielder.
And there's Kenny, a.k.a. Keith, wearing the extra camera on his head so we get a bird's eye view.
Oh, I just hope we can get it later on as well when his passion just really explodes.
West Coast free out of the middle. They're leading the clearances 9-7. Prentice has now had 4 of them. Lacroix.
Not a great kick.
No, it wasn't. Yeo was spinning. He didn't know where he was going to stop. Richards takes the mark. This is going to test, as Jason said, this Sydney defence, not just in defying the Eagles, but in using the ball on the way out. Hewitt flies, so did Parker, but it's all the Eagles when it hits the ground at the moment. They're winning the important contest. Butlers plays it out for Jetta. And that's the conditions.
They're winning the contest, Hutto, when it hits the deck because they've got players at every exit point when a ball hits the ground. Their outnumbers perfect, but their shape around the contest, they've got nearly a diamond pattern where they've got players in either part just blocking the exits of Sydney's trying to get through.
Adamui.
Deliberate. You could hear the umpire. He was saying deliberate. No mistaking.
Oh, guys, that happened right in front of me. That was not deliberate. He actually fell over and got pushed into the ball. That was a really bad call.
Thank you.
Oh, we get an opportunity to have a look at the...
And it was actually the boundary line umpire that told him it was deliberate.
Here's Richards.
Play on.
By hand, so they just halted in their tracks. You can see the uncertainty with Smith and now Rampy, an aggressive player by nature, being tested here. And the pickup was good from McGlynn, but again, uncertainty. Where to go? Nowhere. Cornered. Hill picks up, takes the advantage. Full toll. Yes!
I'm not sure what was going through the mind of Benny McGlynn, but he obviously didn't know the player was tracking him from behind for so long. This is the deliberate decision. Well, he was getting pushed off balance and he threw an arm at it.
The ball ended up behind him, so it was only going to go one way.
Look, Cripps had been following McGlynn right throughout the whole thing, and he avoided the other players but didn't realise Cripps had been chasing him and just took too much time. And again, they struggled to get the ball out of their defensive 50.
Josh Hill had to kick the goal as well. He had players out everywhere. He could have gone inside to Lacroix. Good finish in the end from Josh Hill.
The web seems to be adapting pretty well to the SCG right now. Kick inside from Parker. Heaney versus Schofield. Wellingham. Lovely trap. Jack trying to keep it in. Gaff. Hill comes again. Redden was there, but uses Hearn instead. That's high. Takes the advantage. Adrenaline pumping for the Eagles at the moment. Kennedy's going to bolt back to the square, and then he's back at the ball. He's pushing. He's coming again. The kick really favoured Grundy. Got good help from Rampy. And they are under siege at the moment, this Sydney defence. Mills the next to try his hand at kicking the ball out to half-back. Lloyd outsized, and it's out of bounds.
I know Kennedy's the key forward, Jason. He draws the ball anyway because you look up, you see, there's our key, we've got to get it to him. But if that ball had to go on the top of the square, it was Cripps v Mills.
Yep.
Start putting the young defenders under a bit more pressure as well, one-on-one. Just see how they handle it early on. It may become a proper target for you as a side if you can beat them.
Great kick.
It was by Hanbury. It's to wait a long time.
Franklin one out deep. Just get it down there quick.
And, Papley does not make the connection at all.
Too many times they haven't cleared the man on the mark, Sydney, in their endeavour to play on quickly.
Well, Papley was looking for the fat side kick, but he stopped on his run to come back at him. That's what made the kick so difficult.
Lacroix. And the ball fisted away that time from Cripps by Mills. So some real concerns here for John Longmire with the way West Coast have started this game.
It's interesting, the stats tell us that Sydney are kicking at 61%, West Coast at 55%, yet I'd argue it appears to be the other way around. At least going forward, some of the kicks have been much better for West Coast.
Into the breeze too. Shuey just got boot to ball apparently. Redden for Kennedy.
Side of the boot. Side of the boot.
You got a little side kick. You hear the umpire there, and that's exactly what happened. Just got it on the side of the shoe.
Boundary umpire sneaking a metre inside to give it that extra bit of leverage. And from the throw in, Shuey feeding Redden. No high contact that time. Marston, 4 players coming for him. And they get the reward with a mash tackle. Parker, just circumspect.
This is the kick that they've struggled with.
Tippett has the size advantage and draws the free against Shepherd.
It's not too bad though, that's okay, that's a win. Shepherd is outsized, Jace, but if he gives away the free kick, slows them down, they can set up defensively.
But that's a great example of kicking to a mismatch that you were talking about.
Yep.
All the numbers around the drop of the ball were West Coast then, so if Sinclair didn't take the mark, they were out of it, and that's what happened. McGovern goes with a probing ball. This time Grundy takes front position on Kennedy.
He reads the play well, Heath Grundy.
Quickly lays it off, still trying to get the run and zip.
Floater.
It's a mishmash of a kick. It's worked out pretty well for Papley. Shares it with Mitchell, the stand start. And it's well played ball for Hanbury. Let's see if he can go back and convert.
Yeah, what I liked about that kick from Tom Mitchell is the impulse would have been to go long to Franklin, one out, who was trying to get back on his opponent, Mackenzie, at that particular point in time. Sometimes you've got to ignore the bloke that you're normally used to kicking to, the forward magnet, who's such a good player, and look at the best option. And that was Hanbury, just in a pocket of space, a little chip kick over the top.
They're good numbers from a small sample, but 4 goals, 5 for the year for Dan Hanbury. Coming off a 37 disposal game last week.
He's missed everything. Sneaks it in for a point. That's a poor kick.
2 goals, 3 now, Sydney. West Coast, 3 goals, 3. Skipper of the Eagles, Shannon Hearn. To himself and then out close to the boundary line. Designed for Shepherd. Well taken by Hanbury. The snatch. And then the tackle came from Darling, and it was tough to do much with it. McCrae getting the same sort of heat. Rampy takes it out.
I'm sure McCrae was happy to get that handball. 2 blokes running straight at him. He just had to stand there and cop it.
West Coast with a 6-point lead. Sydney attacking. Parker waiting down for it, but has Shuey to deal with.
West Coast.
Free kick for Shuey. Takes it as the hand, and then Gaff gives it back to him. Their position's not really improving by those disposals, but Shannon Hearn's able to kick cleanly to Fraser McGuinness down the line. So McGuinness has the footy. Just his 8th game of AFL footy. Richards can't mark. Pritis where he should be. Cripps low for Kennedy on the bounce. The trap difficult to handle. Grundy hoping the umpire might give him a free, but apparently it's out.
No, he never had control of that, Kennedy. It was trapped under his legs. He couldn't get his hands on it. Good decision.
Matanui and Tippett in the wrestle. Mitchell, he couldn't get the ball into his boot quick enough to get it out of there. Good body work from Papley. He committed to moving on. And unfortunately for he's turned it straight back over. Scrappy kick back at you from the Eagles. Jack, terrific in these tough conditions. So too Parker. Was it high? Yep, was from Pritis.
That first contest between him and Shepherd, I think it was, before he got the free kick from Pritis, was a tough contest. He went through it hard. Yep. Shepherd stood his ground as well.
Just sensed that the Swans have dug in a bit here in the last couple of minutes. They needed to. Sinclair from behind. Hard to jump over that man, McGovern.
Yeah, and if you can't get there to take the mark, he's got to spoil that one, Sinclair, because we know how good an intercept marker McGovern is.
Dominant in the air last week. 8 marks, 3 of them were contested. Jeremy McGovern to half forward, working the angle with Butler. Knew he was about to be tackled. Pritis on the right side. Hearn just jammed it on the boot. Tough for Darling. Sweeping. There he is, Grundy, and he's got Heaney.
Yeah, the next one's going to be interesting.
Nothing.
Schofield sitting out there in space.
The tallest player down the line was Tom Papley.
That's a strange kick.
That was an
He's actually kicked to the West Coast lead.
Schofield impetuous, wanting to go now. He can. Siren sounds, and it ends. I would think a pretty satisfying quarter by the Eagles. They probably would have liked to have got more reward, but if the breeze is as it appears and favouring the end that Sydney went to, then it's an excellent opening quarter by the West Coast Eagles. On unfamiliar territory, the Swans have got lots of work to do, but the West Coast Eagles have a 6-point lead at quarter time. Quarter time here at the SCG, a real challenge for the home team, being provided by the West Coast Eagles. Sydney 2-3-15 and the Eagles 3-3-21. and low-scoring encounter in these conditions. Maybe shades a little bit of 2005, 2006. We expected to be willing as the afternoon goes. So some issues for John Longmire. One of them is Matty Priddis, a fine player. He is Brownlow medalist. Even since he's Brownlow, his numbers seem to get better and better, into double figures already, and winning so many of the clearances as is usual.
Yeah, nothing changes with Matty Priddis. He knows how to find the footy, and he moves it on quickly, a lot of them in that middle section of the ground. He's just a brilliant player inside, and that's what brings all those running types around him into the game. And so good around the stoppages. I mean, his work in tight is second to none. He's had a great battle with Kennedy. He's on top in that one at the start. Kennedy just the 5 possessions. Priddis up to 12. And here he just steps around 2 blokes in the space of a minute and a half, nearly kicks a banana goal.
Let's hear from the coach of the West Coast Eagles, Adam Simpson.
Simo, fantastic start from the group. Your midfield got really on top, I thought, and Priddis really led the way.
Yeah, look, we started slowly with the contest, but we worked our way into it, and we got some, I think we had 19 inside 50s, so that was pleasing.
What about those inside 50s? That's spoken about, maybe a little bit better going inside?
Yeah, we try and be a little bit more composed, but they're dropping a number back, so we're trying to do something about that, but as long as we get supply, I think we'll be okay.
Thanks, Simo. Thanks, mate.
Well, there's his defensive group going back. Buddy Franklin in the first quarter with 1 goal. Callum Sinclair, former Eagle, with the other.
You made the call at the end of that first term, Hutto, that West Coast would be satisfied. I think you're right. I think they've got themselves right in the contest. In fact, they've probably had the better of that first term. Anything remains to put a bit more scoreboard pressure on the Swans.
Yeah, up 6 in contested possession, which is where they dominated Sydney last year when they last met in round 17. They won by 52 points in Perth. Different story here in Sydney, you would expect. And the Swans trying to generate some footy by Kieran Jack. Packley comes at the ball, out muscle, size, got Big McGovern, and now Marston has it really wide. Rampy trying to track it down. Darling a couple of metres in front of him, as you saw. Prepared to use the hands, and now the feet of Nick Smith. McGovern again.
He's just a star, this young man. And particularly playing on inexperienced players. If they match him up against the Hewitt and these types, he's going to do a lot of damage.
Again, good control of the footy. Elliot Yeo, too far out to score himself. Natanui's going to make a run for it.
Oh, taken out. Yeah, it's a push. It's a free kick to Nick Naitanui.
I reckon that looked a lot worse than it actually was. He had to be strong to hold his ground because there was going to be a bump between the two, and I reckon he's just got Naitanui a little off balance and he's gone tumbling over, so it looks like he's given him the biggest shove of all time.
Kurt Tippett desperately wanting the umpire to look at the replay. Very seldom do. Naitanui converts, and the Eagles lead by 12.
Important goal first up, start this quarter, and look, he pushed forward hard. He's done that a lot in the first quarter as well, Naitanui, trying to take Tippett down there to compete one-on-one. You can see here Tippett there, he just gets underneath the arm, big bump.
Yeah, see, I don't think that
goes to ground.
I reckon
it's 2 actions though. That's what it is. It's the first action.
Yeah, but hang on. The other bloke's coming back at him as well, and he's trying to hold his ground.
That's a free kick in my book, Jace. That's okay. Here's Kenny Cam. This is how he saw it. He's got pretty good vision.
I just reckon there's better body work by Naitanui.
I think that would have been shaking pretty quickly after that, Jono, when the decision was made. And Kenny Cam, as the ball is kicked forward for the Swans by Tippett now. Gaff, the Eagles right on the job here today. Elliot Yeo's kick, half forward. Darling's charging out, and it skids to him. Jack slowed him somewhat. They're still on the advance though, the Eagles. Shuey just dismissed the tackle. Gets it back out for Jetta. Fires the handball. Shuey again. It's a slower build now. It's got lots slower. Fumble from Wellingham. Goes in though to retrieve the situation.
Dragged it in.
It's got out. Hewitt. Hanbury just shoveled it to Kennedy and then to Franklin. Just pops it across for Heaney. Hasn't been a factor yet. No long targets for him other than Sinclair. Franklin on the run. It's a massive kick. It's a monster bomb, but it's not straight. They had all the hallmarks of a big bloody goal, that one.
The trouble was there were 2 or 3 West Coast players back, so he didn't really have too many options.
Doesn't need encouragement.
Look at the way they've set up here. They've got everyone around the 50 arc and the 2 talls in the middle of the ground, and they all get front and square.
Swans the numbers out the back. Mills has got issues, and they got bigger very quickly. Now Darling, just a bit slippery through that mid-cricket pitch area. Yo's chipped it up, but fruitless kick, you would think.
Try to trip that up rugby league style and let someone try and run onto it and take the mark.
We're going to see more of that, Jono, as the way the footy's being played at the moment.
Yeah, a little bit, but interesting from West Coast. First kick out in the first quarter, straight down the middle. First one of the second quarter, straight down the middle as well. Set plays.
Moons, you got an update on Jeremy Laidler for us?
Yeah, he's just walked past me now, guys. He's done for the day. He's obviously went down for the concussion test and didn't pass. He's walked around the boundary line with his sneakers on. He's now sitting on the bench all rugged up. So he is done for the day. Jerry, we're just seeing there on screen. So they are down a rotation, boys.
All right, thank you, Moons. Nui, he's really enjoying having a full pre-season. He didn't have to battle injury for much of last year. Wasn't probably ever at full fitness. But looks good this year. So do the Eagles right now. They're pressing again. Grundy certainly got his hands full. Battling away manfully. Rampy.
Yes, who?
Free to tip it.
Didn't even know the free kick was his, Tippett. That one's gone against Nat Nui.
And guys, just a quick update on the weather. It's just starting to get a little bit heavy. I think for the next 20 minutes they're talking that it's going to get a little bit heavier. Now the lights are all on at the moment, so it is quite dark down here.
Says that with much enthusiasm, Moons. As the kick goes to half forward. They seem to be playing into West Coast hands right now, don't they? The Swans on the way out.
They cannot move the ball through the West Coast web.
Does the weather make it harder in a way to get it round the web with accurate kicking?
Yeah, well, of course it does, Hutto, because you're not going to take that risk. You're going to keep trying to go down the line, contest, out of play, create a stoppage, go again, or create some forward movement from a congested situation.
Heaney and Hanbury. Kennedy. I think he'd thrive in these conditions. Inside again, Hearn smashes it out. Jack. And now Tippett. Oh, the initial handy work was good, but that one not so. Tough for Robinson. Good tackling from Hewitt and Robinson.
Gee, that's an opportunity lost. If that hand pass hits the mark, they have a shot for goal.
Well, it was a great rotation. Sinclair came on to Nat Nui. Tippett then left him and got involved in the play. So great work from the ruckman from Sydney. They just couldn't capitalise.
Let's see if the Swans can lock this away, or even better from them, kick a goal. Certainly not going to be a major with that kick. In fact, it's no score at all.
He'd like to do better, Hutto, but that was good play again because he stayed around the contest. No one went to him from West Coast point of view. So Tippett played that smart for the last couple of minutes.
Can they hold it in there? McKenzie kicks it out. Natanui, the obvious target. Sinclair screws it back. It's West Coast had the optimum positions, and again it's that man McGovern.
Yeah, Sydney forward's got to get in front. You can't let McGovern lead you to the ball. Tippett caught behind on that occasion. Dangerous kick.
Yo, Pritis, and now Gaff. The build is excellent. No tall targets right down the line. Darling's working back to be possibly one of them. Kennedy takes the extra metres on offer. Hill, and now they've got it there.
Gee, that's a big kick. It's got 65 metres.
Tough task for the defence now. With the ball deep in West Coast attacking area. Breeze going that way of any. Shallow throw in, almost hit Mitchell on the head.
Yes. He was ducking out of the way. It was as if someone said to him, watch your head.
Well, I think he was reading the body language of the ruckman, and he said, gee, they're coming towards me very quickly.
Kennedy.
High tackle, Sydney.
For a moment I thought it was going to be deemed a throw. And the rain really sweeping through now.
Just struggling to get some flow in their ball movement.
Kennedy kicks out to the wing. Oh, Heaney with the early rise.
Has to be. Had to be. He went up way too early.
McGovern again, his 10th disposal. Sinclair got both hands to that, brought it to the front. At least it's in Sydney's hands from his point of view. Parker kicking it back to the wing. Now Lloyd's kicks touch. McGovern again. Hard man to get past. Papley gets it on the floor. Gives himself an opportunity. And it all slip slides away from him.
Just concerned about Cam Mooney at the moment. You're all right there, Moons. Give us a wave out of there. There he is.
The gutsy, tough.
I might be able to play for the next 20 minutes, boys.
Hey, what are you making of the action right now, Moons?
Slippery and wet.
West Coast leads by 11. They're handling these conditions pretty well. Tippett brings it down to his feet, and there's Marston. Jack off the side of the boot. There's some danger in that, but Richards almost finds himself within scoring range. And Sinclair or Franklin come at it. They do, but no mark. Robinson to Buddy. Just got away from it. Slippery ball. McInnes takes it through.
It's just hard at the moment to see where Sydney's next goal is coming from.
Gaff back to two separate one-on-ones. Rampy worried out of it that time by Darling. Smith looking for a free. Gets his wishes.
Excellent play from Smith. They couldn't control it. West Coast got his body just in the way and effectively won the free kick.
Heaney chooses not.
West Coast, Jeremy McGovern.
He's causing all sorts of problems, McGovern. They actually had Tom Mitchell in the corridor then, but Nick Smith didn't have the confidence to hit that kick.
McGovern again. Cunningham, no free kick. Duggan tries to scoot through. You can hear some disgruntled fans coming through our microphone.
He's hurt himself, Cunningham, holding the left ankle.
It's 2 down for Sydney. That spells trouble. Duggan on the left. This looks like it could be trouble too for Sydney.
Took him out. Oh, he got paid that one.
Richards is the latest
guy down.
And there's Cunningham.
Move it on.
They are the walking wounded at the moment. Sydney's copped a whack to the jaw. Richards.
Back to the wing for Parker. Big fly. McInnes held his ground. Kennedy, instant drop. Flicked out of there well by Marston. The fumble came from Lloyd. They've scrounged it inside 50. LeCras, Cripps, close him out.
See if we can find out where he twists the ankle.
Goes okay. Oh, there,
yeah. Stood on another foot.
Yep.
It's bad, doesn't it?
Elliot Yeo.
Oh, good hands.
Gaff poking ball for Kennedy. Again, unwhistled. Mills just heaved it back. McGovern against Hewitt. A miss. Sconned Heaney.
A ground falcon. Off the deck.
He's done well.
Just a little pat of the nose.
Just brush it off. Let's put him on the deck. Oh, that's in his chest. Yeah.
Lucky. That would have hurt him in the face.
Tippett poked it down. McGlynn. That's better ball handling from the Swans. Smith. Buddy. McKenzie. Extras came from Shepherd. It was good stuff. But they're on the back foot here, the Eagles. The Swans are able to swarm around Papley. Gives it to Franklin. Does he go to Sinclair? No, he goes for home. It was a low percentage kick, but Heaney made it good. Charging run.
And you can put this goal down to Tom Papley. His work to put pressure on, to lay a tackle, to then gather the loose ball, and to then feed the ball out to Franklin was first rate, and that is hosing down at the moment. Well, Lane is teaming down.
I didn't give Buddy enough credit, perhaps. Maybe he was kicking for Heaney, but it was a great run from Heaney. He was outstanding last week. Third time in his young career that he kicked 4 goals. And here he is, putting through a very valuable major for the Sydney Swans as it tightens up.
Well, conditions are getting very tough as well, but we mentioned Heaney before. He hit the deck with the ball hit him in the chest. He gets up from that, ball pushes forward, then he just casually just cruises up. You can see he's not sprinting or anything like that. He's picking the triggers of where the ball's going, where he can go to next. Then he gets it here and he just lifts his rating right there. Picked up the flight of the ball from Buddy and was able to take a good mark. It was good, pure work rate, just following the flow of the ball there from Heaney.
They're getting on top in the clearances in this quarter. Tippett soccering it. Suddenly a goal and there's a spring in the step. Papley. That's a tough call.
Not much you can do because they're both sliding at that stage when they're on the ground. But he's been super impressive, Papley's made some mistakes endeavouring to play on quickly, but just attacks it.
Just full-bodied in his commitment. Sinclair climbed the highest. It all fell for Mitchell.
Oh, he had a hand pass option. Hewitt all on his own.
Was he in the right? body position to hit a perfect handball to him. Jace, do you think that was the option?
Either handball or kick the goal, one of the two.
Yeah.
Thanks, Luke.
So West Coast lead by 3. Elliot Yeo back to the wing. Darling. Rampy. Somehow it got through to Natanui. The others misjudged it. He just pokes the kick along the line for Cripps. And what a defender he's been, Nick Smith. Gets the fist-in win required as the work continues on Harry Cunningham.
A heavy strapping on
you can
that
just
left
see
ankle.
there, guys, he's got it re-strapped again, so the soft's coming back on, so he's going to try to run around on that one.
Natanui, just a bit of ragdoll action on Sinclair. I wonder how many times they've gone against each other at training and what Sinclair's insights would have been into trying to counter Natanui. Hanbury, look at Buddy. He came from one side, Tippett from the other. As it hits the ground, Shepherd, Heaney trying to pace after him. The tackling was strong. Was it high? No. Holding the ball, advantage taken. Dubious advantage, really, for Jack. And now Tippett, McKenzie, Wellingham, screwed it back with some skill. Finds Butler. Jetta off halfback. Cripps, no mark. Here's Darling. Had Mills to counter. And could have been holding the ball or incorrect disposal. Darling goes back for more. Got the same treatment. And now Jetta comes up with those familiar dancing feet. Marston, it's low for Kennedy.
Got there.
Gets there.
What a mark. These conditions, diving forward to hold on to that was a brilliant mark from Kennedy.
The other thing that we're going to find in tough conditions are very few good opportunities to kick goals. So if you can make some of these half opportunities, and in these conditions, a kick from here you'd consider a half opportunity. If you can convert these, that'll go a long way towards putting your team in a winning position.
Kennedy, a difficult goal under any circumstances, and he doesn't even score.
Guys, good news down here for Sydney. Harry Cunningham just did some run around and looks to be okay, looks about to be ready to come back on.
Good stuff, Moons.
Stay there, stay behind, stay behind. Thank you.
Pritters 16 possessions at the moment, Gaff 14 for the Swans, Papley and Hanbury 12 apiece.
Pritters hasn't been as prominent in this quarter though, has he? Kick goes to full forward. Opened up for Kennedy. Screwed it across the face of goal. Just a couple of those half chances if either side can convert shots like that. It's so valuable today. Smith from the back pocket. Pritters to leap over the top of the much smaller McGlynn. And it's out of bounds. So just one goal each in this second quarter. Tippett, who's become the Swans' #1 ruckman, but well taken away by Shuey and Marston. Grundy.
Courage.
Quick switch is effective. Lloyd through the middle. He's got Jack.
Got to use him.
Went for Mills instead, more conservative, and then low but accurate for Kennedy. Wants to keep coming. Challenging one for Tippett. It's going to clear his head, but good backup arriving. Although fumble initially from Parker. Pokey little kick is good for Hanbury.
Needs one more of those inside 50 to a target.
Doesn't have the shot. Heaney to jump. Oh, it was a massive leap from almost a stand start. Mitchell, Hewitt, McGlynn, Lloyd, Teddy Richards. Surely not from Teddy. The fullback turned full forward. And doesn't he love that?
Big goal.
And he can celebrate on that long journey back to fullback too.
Exactly. What a run it is for a defender.
Collect as many high fives as possible. Just soak up all the applause.
You get them all. Look, the defenders get around him. So to the midfield. This is a big kick. 1, 2, 3. Big launch. Wet ball from outside 50. Slight breeze against. What a kick. Straight over the umpire's hat. Look at that.
Even he can't believe it.
He's surprised.
That's a great reaction. But they're those half chances we're talking about that can make the difference in this match today.
Game 257, his 33rd goal. Of course, he did spend a bit of time forward when he started his career at Essendon. What a defender he's become for the Sydney Swans, though. Hewitt. The momentum has really turned around in this game.
Well, we just saw some interesting numbers, Hutto, with the hit-outs in favour of Sydney. So Tippett and Sinclair doing a great job, because normally you associate hit-out wins with Nat Nui.
Ted Richards not having a shot this time from half-back. Back to the wing, McGovern fends it away. Oh, they're looking at each other, the Eagles. And Jack decided, I'm going to go and win the footy. Robinson, the greasy conditions a factor, then runs straight back into the tackle from Hill. And the Eagles just digging in for the moment they needed to. Hewitt jolted out from Cunningham. Hill again, instant handball. Could have been a throw. Umpire had a good view of it though and said no. Shepherd, Jack, Duggan slides in. Could have been high. A lot of could have beens and would have beens, but in the end it's a ball up.
5-2 hits the advantage in this quarter, Sydney, so they've taken control around the stoppage areas. Had to wrestle that ascendancy back off the West Coast Eagles. They've done well.
Natanui gets it down. There's Tippett though, trying to parcel it out. Gaff got the same treatment. Hill looking for the free, just trying to protect it away from Kennedy. Hanbury also sliding in. Turning the body. Lloyd. Wellingham's going to cop it here from Parker, who rose and got it, and now gets it back from Franklin. Now he's got control. Heaney, he's going to jump if he can. He couldn't. Well done, McKenzie. Papley came flying through. This is pressure. It's pressure stuff. Heaney goes again. Papley, they just pushed and prodded and eventually prevailed.
Say one thing about Tom Papley. We noted he made a few mistakes in the first quarter, but his endeavour's outstanding and he gets to a lot of great positions. He was there for the initial crumb. Didn't quite grab it. You'll see him just missed out on the crumb there, but then he stays in the contest, he follows it, and he keeps his feet. All the other players have gone to ground. Papley's the one standing, gets the reward.
He's living by the ball, staying alive. He's not waiting, thinking this is going to drift over, I won't compete. He works by anything could happen mentality, and anything happened there.
Bit of BG's mentality, Connor.
Yes.
9 points the margin suddenly. It's Adam Simpson with some questions about his team's performance. The clearance dominance evidenced by the numbers. And suddenly they're hitting some targets as well going forward. It's all starting to fall into place. High ball from Parker. Buddy was being spun around by McKenzie. And safely enough into the hands of LaCroix. Challenging one for Jetta. He wasn't quite in the right spot. And these are the contests that Sydney are starting to win. Cunningham to Parker, who's been a big factor in this quarter. McVeigh on the angle. Hewitt from behind. Now Gaff with the cleanup. Stand, start, Shepherd. Hard to get enough momentum on the kick. It doesn't clear the danger. McGlynn. Franklin wants it deep. Heaney has become a real target for them. Hewitt. Here's Franklin again. Duggan. Yo. Mills. Now the uncertainty for West Coast. Went for Darling. Rampy had him covered. They've got most place covered at the moment. That's not going to help too much. Marston stripped of it again. The tackling, the pressure from the Swans. They've lifted it a couple of gears in this quarter. Kennedy. Hewitt. Wellingham. Tippett. Give it to Bud.
Oh, just missed him.
Hearn. Steadying influence needed from the skipper. And provided.
Did well there. You mentioned Parker though, Hutto, 8 disposals in this quarter. He's really leading the way, setting a good charge for Sydney Swans.
Back to the wing, there's Mitchell seeing it over. So 3.5 remaining in this second term.
This West Sydney's had a lot of wins. Cross centre wing here. They've been able to turn the ball over on a regular basis here and rebound strongly in this quarter against the Eagles.
15 entries, has produced 3 goals, 3.
And what about the clearances, Hutto? 11-2 in favour of Sydney in the second quarter. That's what's turned this game around.
And it's 10 entries for the Eagles for just 1 goal.
This way, boys, clear out here, clear out here.
1 score, so
1
6 scoring shots to 1.
You mentioned Sydney hitting some targets, 71% by foot this quarter.
Marston got it out of there. But Guinness couldn't hang on to it. Lloyd with the instant handball from Richards, an uncomfortable moment or two, but he's got it underhand. And now McVeigh for Jack. Franklin, the longest of options. He's got the run-up, buddy. Hard to stop. Mackenzie's a good man to do it, as you saw.
Papley was front square again.
Second contest.
Could have got high contact there twice, I reckon.
Yeah, you're right, Jace. He's very smart in his positioning. He pushes off at the right time. He's not too happy here either.
No, he's not happy.
But
I reckon he copped one.
He keeps it alive, and then he's able to make that second effort.
Umpire was an obstacle for Kurt Tippett. Natanui was the man that profited. Sends it back to half-back, but here it comes again from McVeigh. Heaney again trying to get the stays down.
He got it. Oh.
He is always at the fall of the ball, Papley.
Very stiff not to get another free kick there. Looked like Marston was right into his back.
He'd started his plumbing apprenticeship when he was drafted, so maybe he's used to getting down and dirty, Jace.
Yeah.
Prittis. Kennedy just ripped it away. Here he is again. Papley putting the tackle on this time. The Eagles' defence under siege here at the SCG. Kennedy tried to slap it out. Jetta, no clean scoop, but he picked it up somehow. As if he was seducing the footy, just got it back to the wing. There's Hill, helped it on its way. Small gains can become big ones very quickly. Jetta looks up. There was nothing there for him, so back into the middle. Adventurous but outstanding play. It was brave and effective. Low ball from Shepherd, tailored for Darling, and dropped it under the greasy conditions. Straight down the middle, Rampy. Papley outsized that time. To the front, Hewitt, and it came to Papley. The handball in the blink of an eye was almost too quick for his teammates. He tries to go and get it again, Papley, but can't. Marston, Gaff, the West Coast on the back foot, trying to still be positive on the way out. Jetta and Lloyd in a one-on-one tangle. It's good stuff here at the SCG. They try and keep it alive, but can't.
Great ball control in the wet here from Jetta. That was the first one. He picked up another one straight after this as well, which was clean, with the ball running away from you in wet conditions. Tough to be clean, and Jetta was excellent.
They've still just kicked one goal in this second quarter. The Swans have got in front. They lead by 9. Could go anywhere here. Natanui, Prittis onto that left. They knew it was coming. Wellingham did well not to give away the free there, the Swans. The Eagles try and close it out.
It's just so hard to handle the ball cleanly in these conditions, and every time there's a little double grab or a fumble, you just get wrapped up by the oncoming contest of players. So hard to be clean.
Hanbury. Kennedy with Eagles all around him. Redden. Close to a throw, but the umpire ticks it off. Marston. Here's Kennedy. We're down to 50 seconds. Swans have a 3-1 advantage if he kicks long. Lacroix will know that. Trying to size it all up. Darling, Prittis off the left. Not 15. That was not the news that Josh Hill wanted to hear.
Oh, you're kidding. I thought he had enough on that. I really did. From the angle I was looking at up here, I thought he put enough on it that it was going to sail through.
Which is pretty similar to the angle we're looking from here, Jono. As the kick goes back to the wing. McGavin flies.
Final contact, West Coast.
Final contact.
Straight back to him now, Jeremy. Jeremy.
Oh, lucky that wasn't 50.
Yeah, often that is deemed to be
giving it back to the wrong player, but I think the umpire said, well, Willingham standing right in front of him.
So they've one good spoil and a clean take, the Swans, and they will have seen off the danger here.
Darling copped a nice one in that contest as well.
I'll take it outside.
Locked down to 4 seconds.
Yeah, I'll take it outside.
Compelling quarter of football by the Sydney Swans. They've restricted the West Coast Eagles to just a goal. They've kicked 3-3. They've taken the lead back. There's a few seconds remaining, and that should just about do. Fascinating clash from the SCG. Difficult conditions for both sides. Some quick thoughts, Jace, before we get out to Moon.
Super impressive fight back by the Swans. I thought they were in trouble at quarter time. I thought the Eagles were doing very, very well in all aspects of the game. But we mentioned those clearance numbers. They dominated around the stoppages, Sydney, in the second quarter. Just forced the ball forward, nothing pretty. The conditions simplified their style of game, and they rewarded themselves with a few goals to get their nose in front.
What's your gut feel, Jono?
Yeah, I'm with Jace. The fact that they were able to push through what was a disappointing first quarter for Sydney around the ball, they changed that at quarter time. They got their act together, and they're able to put their nose on a regular basis.
Down to you, Moons.
Josh made a fantastic comeback in that second quarter. They really jumped in that first quarter, but in through the middle of the ground, led by yourself, you really got back on top.
Yeah, it's all about the basics today, and I think got on top in contested possession in the first quarter, and we wanted to win that back. I think we did, but it's going to be a really tough game, really tough second half.
Is it fair to say that we look at the breeze, we know the flags are going down that way, but the wind's probably swirled back down that way?
Yeah, to be honest, I couldn't tell you, mate. As I said, it's just a scrap at the moment. Just get it forward and try and make the most of the opportunities.
Right, Josh, thanks very much, mate. Good on you. Sandy, back to you, mate, down there in Melbourne.
Good on you, Moons. Thank you for that. So a 15-point turnaround in that second quarter by the Sydney Swans, trailing at 6 at the first break and now leading by 9, getting on top in the clearances. We're going to take a break. We're going to be heading to Metricon shortly, a big game coming up there later on this afternoon. We'll be back to check on that and, of course, all the action from the SCG. Stay with us.
It's half time at the SCG on Jeep Super Saturday.
Trying conditions at the SCG, gusty wind and rain. Jeremy Laidley getting a test and appearing to come through it okay. Let's hope we see him again, but the lights are on. It's slipping and sliding time and frustrating times for both of the coaches. Sydney, however, down by 6 points at quarter time, take a 9-point lead into the second half. Let's check out a preview from our experts at the game at the moment. I speak of Jason Dunstall, Brad Johnson and Anthony Hudson. Hutto?
Thank you, Sandy. 2 distinct quarters we saw in that opening half. Boys, obviously early on it was West Coast and they set up really well, and after that Sydney got on top. We're going to look at both elements in that opening half.
Yeah, I think it's a fair assessment, Hutto. I was particularly impressed with the Eagles early on, and we talk about the Eagles web and how they fill all the gaps and they cut off the leads up the ground, then they've got players back to take the intercept marks. And we know how good Jeremy McGovern is, and it's not just when he's in his own defence. He'll back himself to read it against an opponent, as we see on this occasion. The quick kick comes in, he takes front position away from his opponent on that particular contest. It's Kurt Tippett, and he takes the mark again. And he had 12 possessions in the first half. One of the better players for the Eagles, Jono.
Yeah, he was. He was very good, but it was where Sydney were then going to get back this game on their terms, and it was around the clearances and around the stoppages that they needed to lift their rating, and they were able to do that in the second quarter, where they won clearances 12-6, but more importantly they won hitouts to advantage 4-0. You can see there the dominance from the players, with Josh Kennedy leading the way, of course, for clearances for the Sydney Swans, but they got some good ball going forward, Jason, then able to lock it in their forward line with the likes of Papley and Heaney doing a good job down there.
Yeah, which was a contrast after Prittis had done so well for the Eagles in tight in that first term. They were able to reassess, get their structures right and start winning some first use of the football from the stoppages, Sydney, and that's why they were able to play the game in their forward half and get some score on the board.
So there would be plenty that would have been going on in the coaches' rooms during the halftime break, that's for sure, just trying to work out what's going to come of this third quarter. We'll find out soon enough. As we said, both Sydney and the West Coast Eagles going through plenty of plans and instructions, and it'll all be about the effort in the difficult conditions here at the SCG. We'll find out soon who's going to prevail right after this. Grey skies still at the SCG for the moment. There's not too much rain, still a little bit of wind to contend with. Can't wait for the third quarter to get underway. Let's get back down to Cameron Mooney as we cast our eye into that Sydney forward line, Moons.
Yeah, look, Hannah, we spoke about Isaac Heaney at the start of the game, didn't we? Just how important he is already, only in his 19th game, and just how much of a talented youngster that he is, and just his highlights from the first half. He's only had the 6 possessions, but just what he does. You see here Tom Mitchell hitting him up on a lead, and we talked about how good he is when he is outside 50 and how he makes scores happen. And we saw this one, Jono, you talked about this one, his work rate back inside 50, and obviously a nice easy finish there for goal. But this is the stuff that I love. He had 3 tackles in that second quarter alone. He's had 4 for the game already. The amount of pressure that he puts on for a young guy is outstanding. Again, he competes. His effort is outstanding, and the way he keeps in the contest here allows Papley to get on the end of a nice easy goal. He's an absolute star, this young kid, and I think this guy in the second half is going to have a huge influence on the game.
Well, it's amazing, isn't it, when we're talking about a 19-year-old as being a real key to the game, but such as his level of maturity he's shown, certainly understandable. There's Nick Smith and LaCroix. That's going to be very important as well, some of those battles in the West Coast forward line.
Lloyd with Gaff there. McGlynn had the job early on running around with Gaff. He's had 19 disposals in the first half of football here.
So the rain has passed for the moment at least. Sinclair and Schofield, old teammates and now foes. And old mates, Wellingham and Buddy Franklin, find themselves near each other. Although not directly opposed as we start this third quarter. And Natanui tried to get it down to Luke Shuey. Instead, it's Parker, it's Kennedy, and it's Heaney over his head. Sinclair, here's Papley again. Got it back into Hewitt. And on the outside, McGlynn. So the small men of the Swans getting busy. Buddy against two as he held momentarily. Play on, Yo, taking no chances.
Yeah, that's a good kill of the ball. Elliot Yo over the top, not mucking around. A couple of goals in this weather is going to be very hard to peg back. They want to get the next one, the Eagles. They don't want the Swans to open up a 3-goal break.
Almost a hint of sunshine here at the SCG. Almost. As Hearn drives for Darling.
Well, dry conditions at the moment. Darling clean, very clean there. He was fumbly in that second quarter when the rain started to come down.
Very precise kick required there.
Well, it's a risky kick, but a good one because it opens up the ground.
Kennedy, though, doesn't make the most of that. The Swans eventually get synchronised in their
Well, they're out
plans.
here. They're out here. They should rebound very quickly. Franklin's in space.
Took Sinclair a moment or two, just a pulse to realise that they're still going to get it to Franklin, though. And there he is next to Wellingham, and he's looking for 50. He tried one on the umpire, then against his mate.
Yeah. And Wellingham said to the umpire, he dropped the ball. So as soon as that turnover kick from Kennedy was in the corridor, any quick rebound was always going to result in a shot for goal. So you're going to run out, arc it around.
1 goal, 2 so far this afternoon. Can get back on target for his 4 goals if he can kick truly here. And kick truly he has.
Big turnover by the Swannies, huge by the West Coast Eagles, I should say, and the Swannies were then able to capitalise on turnover and get the ball going on the outer side of the ground. The thing with it was that West Coast had 2 of their key players up the ground, their key forwards, couldn't do anything about it when the next ball went in, and there's Sinclair with good use of the ball, good long kick in, and there's Buddy Wellingham, just had no chance getting back on his mate.
Yeah, I'm not sure he fancied being one out against Franklin there.
So 4 consecutive goals now for the Swans. And it's getting to danger time, real danger, as far as the West Coast Eagles are concerned. You see the numbers from turnovers. And another free kick out of the middle.
They gave it back to him. Jack refused to. That's good umpiring.
That is.
Didn't get sucked in for the 50.
The crowd don't think it was good umpiring because
Franklin thinks he's having a shot. He doesn't realise it's got to come back.
That's a rude awakening.
He's flat now.
He is. He showed the crowd and all that he's
taking a good mark.
Just takes a little bit off it, doesn't it, when you're then going to hand it back. Jack, he might still have another crack. Sinclair comes, Heaney. All in the mix. Kurt Tippett was down there, McGlynn. Sydney Smalls have been buzzing around, causing all sorts of havoc.
Watch his head.
Led by Tom Papley. He's taken Hewitt and also McGlynn with him. 16 points the margin.
You see the structure there from the Sydney Swans defenders. They're pressing up the ground because they're getting good pressure from their forwards, locking it in the forward half of the ground.
Big rushman square off, but it came to Hanbury again. Here's McGlynn. Now Franklin, he was ready to go. Just couldn't take the ball with him.
Holding the man, West Coast.
Holding the man, we actually saved him from flying into the fence in the end, buddy.
He actually grabbed Chris Marston's jumper and didn't let him slide into the fence, which I think was good for Marston's well-being.
Cryer has to fly from behind. He realised there's an interesting handball by Shuey. And it comes straight back.
Great positioning from Richards then.
It's a low ball straight into the breadbasket of Wellingham.
Right there.
I'd love to switch direction if they can.
Can for Hearn for the moment. Gaff is running hard to the wing, but his eyes are set straight down the middle because
super kick.
Cripps was coming up at him. Kennedy paces back to the square and then doubles back to lead. It was brilliantly worked through by the Eagles and by that man, Josh Kennedy.
And that's what the corridor kick does. We saw a superb kick from Schofield. Right down the centre corridor. All of a sudden, there are options for Cripps.
15 seconds. 15 gone.
Take it was Shannon Hearn.
So Hearn to Cripps to Kennedy, and now the conversion. Left was the worry by the history, but there's no problems at all. It's through the middle. Second goal for Josh Kennedy, and it's back to 10 points.
2 goals apiece, Franklin and Kennedy. Billed as the clash of the heavyweight forwards, but the conditions probably don't suit them. So it comes down to how you can graft a couple of opportunities. And here's Hearn, turns back into the middle, and look at this kick. Penetration, it gets there. And then Cripps has got an open forward line. Kennedy running back to the square, stops props. Very difficult for a defender to stop that.
Great vision.
Fantastic watching John Oliver. The restraint that he shows.
They have to find ways to vent their frustration, particularly now that that camera's always there.
Sinclair against Natanui, the recovery, the Panther-like recovery. Little toe poke was affected by Cripps. Suddenly the ball going West Coast way. Natanui stayed involved. It's Redden who shaped the goal. Another transformation in this game. Jack Redden puts it through, his 4th goal of the season. And the Eagles back within 4 points.
Yeah, back-to-back goals. Just the ticket, and it came on the back of a clearance. It was Nick Natanui. How many times have we seen him do this? Follow his own tap, pushing the ball forwards. And then it was just about momentum. This is going to be a scrappy game. You want the scrap to be in your forward half of the ground. And then when these opportunities pop up, you have to take them. Didn't go with the left foot. He felt comfortable with the banana or the check side. Did it beautifully.
Just a good win as well from West Coast, because Sydney's mids did the right thing. They pushed back just as hard as they had to try and win the ball. Just worked out in West Coast favour. It bobbled out to them.
Prittis doing what Prittis does. Gets it out of the middle and gets them started. The Swans swabble a bit amongst themselves. It fell for Gaff. Now Richards just weaving, putting it out, just plonking it out in front of Tippett and Schofield. And the sliding nature of the conditions sees it over. 7 minutes gone in this third quarter. First goal to the Swans. They had it all heading their way, but West Coast have responded in kind with successive goals.
McInnes into the ruck for West Coast, and Natanui's having a spell forward.
Thank you. Straight back, boys. Straight back. Straight back. Hold the meter.
McInnes maybe got the tap, but it's all Sydney. Robinson tried again. Prittis gets it back on his terms. Skies it for the wing. McVeigh strongly back. Had to. LaCroix was coming for the Eagles. Nick Smith. Cripps. There's yardage in that kick. And there's danger in the form of Nick Natanui and Jack Darling. Darling, the collect was fantastic. Onto the left side of Gaff. Pokes it into the pocket and it gets away from Hill.
Sitting here peeling for delivery.
No.
Every time it goes out of bounds, someone appears.
Yep. So they've turned it around quickly in this term. West Coast, the game, the last 5 minutes, has just been all down their end of the ground.
I think there's a howling breeze to that end. Redden, Mitchell, no love for Sinclair there. And will really set him up. And the ball goes over and out again.
Boys, you talk about that breeze. I mean, you look at the flags and he's going right to left. But as we experience when you're down here on the ground, Jason and Jono, you know it hits that Don Bradman stand and then it does swell back straight down the other end. So no doubt the scoring end is down to the right-hand side.
Robinson's just done enough. Elliot Yeo, he's got a powerful right boot and an accurate one. And that's a goal.
That's a good kick in the conditions. I think Sydney were looking for a high contact free kick. It wasn't forthcoming. And these are those half opportunities. Bang, bang, bang. Sydney looked to have some breathing space. Is there high contact here? Yeah, he ducked into it. I'm happy with the decision, but that is a brilliant taking of a half opportunity.
Look at that. That's a strong kick from that position. One step to hook it around. Great vision there. You can see great call from the umpire. That ball was well and truly over the line.
Elliot Yeo puts West Coast in front. At 3 goals, 6 for the season coming into today. Finds his accuracy at just the right moment for the West Coast. 3 consecutive goals. They put their nose in front. Cripps has been really important too, though this time it goes awry. Here's Mitchell sending it forward. Franklin stays down. The contest in the air goes West Coast way. Marston lost his footing, didn't lose control of the footy. Shepherd sends it up onto the wing. Good battle there. Again, tough conditions to negotiate. And it gets away from Cunningham and it's over the boundary.
How good was that handball from Marston off the deck? Wet conditions to flick it up the way he did then. Tough skill to execute.
Jeremy McGovern's just holding his right hand or right wrist after that massive spoil.
Big hit, wasn't it?
With a heavy ball. Still feeling it. Just giving it a bit of a shake. You see him flexing it there. A heavy ball punched at 20 metres. That has to hurt.
Jack for Lloyd. Dangerous kick. Busy intersection on the wing as they come from either side. Butler took 3 Swans to stop him. Reddens gained some ground. Duggan fired it out. Marston was turning and spinning already. Duggan goes again. Shapes the left foot kick to keep it in. Out to meet it, Darling. The bounce doesn't accommodate him particularly nicely, but it's over and out, and the West Coast have got it in their forward half.
He's still shaking the hand. Look at him flexing it. This is the spoil we're talking about.
Good hit. Didn't look too much in it though, did it, Jason? Must have just
caught it at the wrong angle.
Yeah.
Tip it for Mitchell, half smothered. Tries again. A little bit more success that time. Shepherd and Sinclair, big disparity in size. We know Shepherd's used to that though. Wellingham, got a little cuddle from Buddy. And that's another ball up. Swans just can't get clean ball at the moment.
Thanks, boys.
Massive change in momentum in this game.
This way. Hold that 1 minute, boys.
16 up and seem to be steaming away. Trying to wrest control back around the contest and the clearances West Coast, and they've been effective. Richards that time only had to combat the smaller Cripps. Pumps it down the line. McGovern, this will test the fist, or he swung and missed. Heaney, Shepherd, outstanding. Marston, Butler. LaCroix, dumped by Cunningham. Grundy into the cut and thrust of it. Now LaCroix, they're looking dangerous. Chose well for Redden. Dainty little kick inside 50. And well done, Rampy. Beat Darling to it. Cunningham had to just size up what was ahead. Big challenge for young Hewitt. Got muscled out of it by Hearn. Put some pressure on. Wellingham back for Hearn again. And he reverts all the way back to defensive 50.
He's got options in the middle of the ground.
Sam Butler.
Move it on. Play on.
Umpire calls time, so angles the kick wide, trying to keep it out of danger. McGovern in front. Canterbury did well not to give away a free.
Play on.
Franklin, the initial fumble. Not a problem for Buddy. Streaming forward, kicking it, hoping for Tippett. He lost his footing. That wasn't in the plans. And now Marston, and they can generate some more run out of fence via Shepherd.
Gee, that's a big win. Butler taking a contested mark against Tippett down back.
Gaff's continued his good form from last year. He started the season so well, and today he's performing extremely well again. 21 disposals already.
I reckon the other one too, Jono, is Wellingham. He steps back into this football team after missing the first few rounds and just absolutely been brilliant down in that back half.
Good call, Moons. Hanbury. So West Coast turn it over this time. Jack. He's going to take Heaney's best and not give away the free. He's done well. And here is Wellingham showing that sort of stuff, that anticipation. And that real good footy feel. Although the kick certainly didn't match the winning of the ball. Now Robinson. Back for Lloyd. Franklin coming up, and he saw him quickly. And this will be a test of the breeze to that end.
Well, I reckon what's suited West Coast in this term is the drier conditions have come back. They've started to mark the ball. They've found things a little easier. The real wet stuff was in that second term when Sydney got back on track. So it's a big test for Sydney now.
Buddy with 2 goals too. Wasn't the perfect strike. He was coming back on the right angle, though.
It was online.
Wellingham apologising to Gaff for that kick out of defence a couple of minutes before, which caused the turnover to get the ball back into Buddy's hands. Good jump over the top from McGovern.
Play on. You.
Goes for distance, Hearn, and he can cover plenty of it. Natanui, clean as you like out of the...
You see that?
He cleared his own protected zone there.
He pushed Kennedy, who's a big man, about 5 metres away, and he hit the deck.
Just ragdolled him. This is awesome.
Schofield down the line. Shuey stays down. And was he being tangled and held? He's done well to get it along the line for Kennedy. He too getting manhandled by Grundy. Now Mills has gone to ground. He needed help. He got it. McVeigh, they're on the back foot here, the Swans. A handball away from disaster, but they stay ahead of the game. Rampy's kick, big one to be won here, Papley, and he knew it. Shrugs the shoulders, bursts away. Had nothing really to go too long, so mid-distance kick for Sinclair. Still about not losing it, and West Coast have got it back. Schofield feeling the heat, though. Rush kick, and I'm going to hit the chalk.
He did everything right, Papley. He didn't have many options. He attacked the ball. He was outnumbered, but then he found a contest to kick to in Sinclair. Been impressed with his game.
Crowd silenced in this third quarter by 3 consecutive West Coast goals. Tippett continues on with the battle with Natanui. Marston in for McGuinness. Shuey gets done.
Stay in.
Yeah, it does stay in. We know Mills is excellent in the air. Well done. The good counter by Duggan.
Someone just lending a little bit of advice.
Yes. Is that where the effects mark is? West Coast lead by 1. Natanui, brilliant service for LaCroix. Jetta couldn't capitalise on a half chance. Parker comes away. Back to the wing. Big challenge for players on both teams there. Wellingham went first to the footy and again. Mitchell kept the footing, and now they can reap the rewards. Parker on the advance. Not so good with the kick, though. McGovern straight into trouble and straight out of it. Butler, they're bundling it up now with Gaff. Working the angle, McInnes punched away. And managed to keep control of the ball. Just. And now it's out. 9 minutes remaining in this third quarter. She's tightened up again.
It has. Next goal. You know, the side, both teams want that next goal. It's really tight around the contest at the moment.
Hard to come by in a low-scoring encounter. McGlynn to half forward. Pretty good trap by Sinclair. Mitchell starting to find the ball in this quarter.
Good kick.
His 6th disposal for the term. Hanbury, it's set up for young Heaney to rise. He did it with body instead. Play on the call. He got it out to Lloyd. The play deserved a goal, but it's not going to eventuate.
The strength of Heaney to do what he did then in a big body against Mackenzie, to put him on the deck, hold his feet again, which is what Moon spoke about pre-game. He doesn't go to ground in a contest. Stays alive. Should have been a better finish from Lloyd. Kenny's pretty happy.
He saw his replay on the screen. Just admiring his own work.
Yeah, just keep your head straight, Kenny.
Come on, Kenny. Watch this one. It could sail through. McGlynn, it's coming back. Swans in front again.
Well, the game continues to ebb and flow. I'm not sure it's ever going to open into a completely attractive game, but it's a good slog. And both teams starting to make the most of some of the opportunities. That's a good finish from McGlynn.
Got to the right spot. Butler put it down, tried to put it down to LaCroix. In the end, got a little bit too much on it. Sydney had good coverage around that long ball out of defence from West Coast, and McGlynn with a big finish.
Sydney lead by a goal. Tippett got the tap, but it's Redden trying to get it out of there. Cripps. Marston and now Shuey look behind initially. Looking for reinforcements. McGlynn having a little purple patch. Prepared to wear one. And was looking for the advantage, but it didn't eventuate.
He copped a good clip too.
Jason, I reckon it's very underestimated, this guy missing a lot of football last year for this footy club.
Well, the kick is designed for one man, and that's Buddy Franklin. Sinclair came from the side. Parker could have been a factor. Heaney. Natanui just waltzes through.
Got the one-handed pickup.
Hearn back to the...
They want to deliver it. You can't pay that.
Yes, you can. Tempered the kick well for Buddy.
We saw him kick one from out here. It was a little closer in.
A little tight.
Perhaps not quite as tight an angle, but the important thing was what he did was he kicked a drop punt.
You think he'll do the same?
Well, he looks like he's striking them confidently off the boot.
Buddy Franklin. 2 goals, 2 to his name. Now it's 2 goals, 3. The margin is 7.
With the deliberate, do you think it'll come that if a West Coast kick it out like that, McVeigh could have got there but didn't?
It could be the right.
Is that something that could come in over the next period of time?
If anything, the AFL making sounds are going to be even more aggressive on it.
Okay.
The kick goes back to the wing.
I just find it difficult for players when they're in a pack of 10 or 12 people and you just throw it on the boot like this.
Oh yeah, that's...
I mean, and sometimes you've got to pull the leg one way or another to avoid a smother as well.
McVeigh wasn't going to get to that one, but there are examples where players could get to it and they just let it roll out.
Shuey to half forward. Richards takes prime position. He did well. Marks in front of Elliot Yeo. He's done some good things today, Teddy Richards. 13th disposal coming up. He's kicked a goal. That was one of the good things when they were hard to come by. Back to the wing again. Big pack of players flying. Kennedy with the smarts. Hanbury goes for his mate. Franklin in the pocket. And now McKenzie with a clean up for the Eagles. Hearn shake it off and then go for the low ball for Mitchell. Intercepts. And on the brink here, Mitchell. His 17th disposal. Heaney could still be the target if he wants to toss it up. And he was, and he did. He didn't mark it. Or Kennedy stripped of it, or heaved out by Tippett. McVeigh had time to look and to make sure of the right foot kick. And it was all true and all good.
Massive response from Sydney. Huge response. West Coast worked their way back into this quarter, got in front. The last 5 minutes, though, Sydney have taken control around the ball. They're building pressure in their forward half of the ground again, not making it easy for West Coast to get it out. And repeat entries are starting to take their toll. They've got plenty of numbers around the contest. You can see here, good shape there. Great work to get it to the outside. McVeigh with time and space to put that through the middle. But it's the fact that they've been able to really get control back around the contest in the forward half of their ground.
Back this way.
Just 11 disposals for Jared McVeigh. And playing game number 268 today between he and Mark. It's 500 games. The 8th most combined for brothers. West Coast attacking. They need to respond now. Amazing the transformation in this game. Within quarters in the first half, a quarter here and a quarter there. And now within this third turn, first of all it was West Coast. Now it's Sydney with a run of play. 13 points the margin again.
Yeah, you could argue that's deliberate for kicking it off the deck. And he's going to get pinged. No.
What Sydney are doing well, they're putting pressure on the ball carrier, hard pressure, which is making West Coast go back and lob their handballs. Next one's coming in hard as well to lay an effective tackle, which is then creating good forward momentum for Sydney with numbers around the footy.
Sydney, high tackle.
Free kick going to Kurt Tippett.
Things are going their way at the minute.
Yeah, crowd greeting that decision rather warmly. Tippett seemed a bit bereft of ideas, but just down the line he goes.
Touch.
Hewitt was the flyer. Parker to Mitchell to Franklin. He was on the charts, didn't have a shot, which is interesting because there was no size for him to go to. And it results in a behind.
I think the whole crowd was with you, Hutto. They were just anticipating maybe something special.
Well, that is the side, isn't it?
That's it, and that's the run we're so used to from Buddy. Involved in the first contest, breaks, gets a handball received. Big goal.
Yo.
Wellingham for Yo. Parker, there's more than a match in the end. No mark paid anyway. And McGovern hopes that Kennedy can be a conduit for another attack.
Too strong West Coast, Josh Kennedy. Just held front position.
Trips. And also this man, Gaff, just sneaking forward.
East-West 10. Play on.
Gaff's gone around. Darling had 3 Swans to deal with. Goes unwhistle. Cunningham to Mills. He telegraphed it a bit, so they knew where it was going, but he's done that very well.
Yeah, a bit of luck in the end.
I think so.
With a blind kick, but that's just positioning from your teammates.
Robinson Dehaney, you can see how eager he was to move it on. McGlynn's been good in this quarter. Pumps it for Parker. And he just hangs on. Franklin's waiting deep.
Yeah, he's in space and Papler's led straight into it.
Yeah, so it's closed out, although that was the place to go. Can he keep it in, but he can. Hewitt. Careful kick from McGlynn, who's red hot right now. 15 disposals and a goal to his name.
He kicked one from a similar position, virtually right on the 50-metre arc, so this one's a couple of metres closer.
In the time that Josh Kennedy has played 150 games for the Swans, he's played 112. Hasn't had the same run in the fitness front. But as Jono alluded to, a very important player when he's up and running. Kick to the left is a worry here, judging on history.
Isn't it funny how instinctive kicks on the run, no problem, but you give players set shots, they can find it a lot more difficult.
It's speed and power, I think, with that. McGlynn before had good speed and power going through that kick. That one there, a bit more relaxed on his run. And you can see there from his history that he does hook them left.
That's it there.
Butler takes the mark as the Eagles now need to find a way.
Well, they need to find a way forward of centre. Their game is based around locking the ball inside their forward half of the ground. They haven't been able to do it since quarter time, and that's why Sydney have been able to get right back into this.
Other than that flurry at the start of this quarter, it's really been Sydney's ball. Lloyd. Well done, Duggan. He's shown enormous promise. Single-handedly won that ball for the Eagles. Can it set something up? Hanbury, play on the call. Again, Jack well placed. The sliding Hewitt takes the mark.
Franklin in space, didn't want to use him.
George Hewitt passes instead to Tippett. There was 3 Eagles to contend with in the air. Play on as it hits the ground. Franklin cast in the roll as a rover, and he was about to pick it up. Run into goal.
Gee, they hurt free kicks like that, don't they? You want to keep the ball down in your attacking area.
McGovern with his 19th disposal. Slippery ball. Duggan tries to retrieve the situation. Mitchell for Tippett. And now McVeigh, all those years of experience combined with the class of the skipper. And he's put it through for the Swans for another.
You can see the frustration on the face of Adam Simpson. One of the West Coast players just got his hands involved in a attempted mark when the kick wasn't meant for him. This is the high contact from Tippett, a little bit sloppy. Then the kick came out and it went off hands, and that's why Duggan got caught with the footy. The kick was meant for him, but Butler got his fingertips to it. And that's the second time we've seen a quick shovel out to McVeigh, a little kick around the corner. He does it very well off one step.
Sort out, boys, come on. Sort out, please. Sort out, come on.
So game high 21-point margin.
It's interesting. Sydney doing very well from turnovers, punishing the opposition.
Punishing knockdown out of the middle by Natanui. Jack had to go a long way back to collect it, but that's just what he did. Mitchell's been an important component in this quarter for the Swans. Outstanding collect from Hanbury. And Hewitt's done okay too.
He's leading up on McGovern, and that's an important role to play to take McGovern out of the intercept marking area.
Just starting to find the footy in this quarter, George Hewitt. Tippett. Again, Natanui's done a power of work back there. Shuey. And Hewitt again. McLean. Change of tack went low.
That's not where you want to turn it over.
Marston.
They had coverage in the corridor, so at least they've made West Coast go wide here. Slow them up again.
Pressure seconds. Tick away. Jenner got it to McKenzie, and now to Shepherd. You can hear the crowd's response that was a wild.
Yeah, and he's just having a go at Eric McKenzie, saying you should have kicked it up there rather than handballing it to me on the boundary line.
And that is beautifully done from Cunningham off half-back. He was called to play on by the umpire, and his reaction and recovery was great. Kennedy goes down the line. He spotted Sinclair, and Franklin coming hard at the ball. Jack for Mitchell. Just over Hanbury's head and juggled by Butler.
It's a good mark from Butler, but once the ball hits the deck, Sydney want it more at the moment. They're putting stronger body pressure on West Coast and they're winning those clutch contested ball situations.
Been a strange old quarter, hasn't it, with Sydney kicking the first, West Coast the next three, and then Sydney the next three. And then 9-12 Sydney, West Coast 7-3. So in terms of scoring shots, it's 21-10 in favour of the Swans. And 11 more entries.
You've got to remember that they're down a player and have been since early in that second term. The Sydney Swans with Laidler getting concussed. So there'll be heavy legs in the last term after, in particular, that slog in the second quarter. So it'll be a good test of fitness.
There's Jeremy Laidler.
Straight back. Separate me, please. Watch on the floor.
No doubt he'll feel much better if the Swans can win. Tough as it is to be a spectator for the afternoon. Gaff shoveled it out for his 27th disposal. And now Lacroix, obviously a critical player for them if they're going to get back into this game. 21 points adrift. The siren is going to stop any thoughts of a late goal in this third quarter. It proved to be a very important one for the Sydney Swans. They were challenged, they were headed, but they have responded. They've kicked 4-6 for the term to 3 straight to set up a 21-point lead at the last. What a challenge for this West Coast Eagles team. Unfamiliar territory at the SCG. Handled it well early, but in the second quarter, Sydney got on top, got in front. Then they came again, the Eagles, during that third term. Again, they got their nose in front, but then had to sit there as the Swans slammed 3 consecutive goals on the board. And it's the home team with a 21-point advantage as we turn for home here on Saturday afternoon footy. And it's Sydney 9-12-66, leading West Coast 7-3-45. The Eagles are going to win, boys. They've got to have this aggressive frame of mind.
Yeah, they certainly do, Hutto. And I like there from Hearn. He had Gaff there on the outside run, decided not to use that, went up the corridor, which allowed Kennedy to get back forward, put the brakes on, come back at the kicker, and was an easy hit up there for Cripps in the middle of the ground. So that's the type of courage West Coast are going to have to produce again in this quarter to get up, because you can see there they can't afford to turn the ball over as well, because Sydney are capitalising as their major score source from turnover.
Yeah, and conversely, the Eagles haven't created enough turnovers when Sydney's had the footy, because they normally get a much higher percentage of their scores from those turnovers.
Well, that is a hallmark, isn't it, of their play as they put the pressure on in the forward half. Let's get down to Moons.
Well, boys, you talk about trying to get West Coast back into this game and get that ball inside 50. Look, we know it's not really a marking day for the big key forwards, and Kennedy hasn't had a huge influence, either as Darling. But we've got to look at guys like Lacroix and Elliot Yeo. Only the 1 goal between these 2 guys. They've had about 12 possessions each, which is fine, but that's more up around the ground. I want to get these guys possessions inside 50, and they need to start kicking goals for West Coast to get back into this game.
Also, Moons, I think that McGovern needs to maybe swing forward at some point, maybe catch a couple of grabs and try and take this game by storm.
Well, I think about 5 or 10 minutes in, Jono, if it hasn't worked and they haven't got any goals, they're going to have to swing him forward to do something out there, because they need to win this game badly.
So there's the scoreline as we start proceedings in this final term. Sydney by 21. And Natanui, where it all starts, down to Shuey. We've seen that before. Off to Pritis. And they're in the arc. Lacroix defied by a desperate Nick Smith. Gaff first to it. Hanbury, though, was right on the job for the Swans. Won a big contest and sets Kennedy away. In flight, the Swans. Next stop, Papley. Takes the mark down the line, Sinclair. Buddy a bit further on. And the shallower kick is okay. Marked by Parker. He keeps going with the flow. Cutting kick inboard, McGlynn. Lightning to Kennedy. It's being played on the Swans' terms, but that was just a bit of a rush.
It was. He picked the one West Coast defender back when there were plenty of Sydney options.
Cripps is able to create here with Darling. He's got Kennedy working hard for him across half forward. And his kick was a little bit of a nonchalant one up for Kennedy. Keeps it alive with Hearn. He's a penetrating kick, not really to the advantage of Lacroix. And Nick Smith leads him to the footy and then leads him out. Jetta, good combat the other way from Cunningham. But it's back for Hearn, and there's a smother. There was Mills. He was just acquitted himself so well, slotted into this team. Doesn't look at all like a 19-year-old playing his 5th game of AFL footy. So Sydney still 9-12, West Coast remain at 7-3. Marston, and now Shuey. McCrae and Smith again. Richards on hand. Mills goes to ground, which could make you nervous, but knew what he was doing. Grundy. Hearn, a hard man to get past. Swans have got plenty of numbers there, though, and you can see what that's produced. Jack servicing McGlynn. Hewitt now, he's got position, and he marks it.
What a great kick from Ben McGlynn, because McGovern looked to have all sorts of avenues cut off. They couldn't lead up, and he looked like he was only a metre or two off Hewitt going back, but the weighted kick from McGlynn was perfect. And this is a critical kick to open up real scoreboard pressure on West Coast.
Played the first 3 games, was left out last week, went back to the NEFL, had 28 disposals and 5 inside 50s. Let's see if he can kick a goal from that spot. He's kicked 2 goals, 3 from those 3 games, so he can do it. And he's done it again.
Transition across centre wing. They turned the ball over there again. They had numbers around the contest. That's been the most impressive part from a Sydney point of view in the second half of this game so far. Look at the numbers, and then they run. They're going forward. Great kick in from McGlynn. He's lifted his rating in that 3rd quarter. Had a good start to this last quarter as well. His use of the ball's been very good. He's kicked a goal himself as well. And that's just a pure kick out over the top. Also had Papley there running in by himself. Big start for the Swans in this last quarter.
Great moment for George Hewitt as they now extend the lead to 27. Big names trying to get involved for West Coast again. And he's laying a big tackle. That's what Nick Nananui is able to do. Darling comes right into focus as well, but the Swans countering.
More dangerous.
Not the best handball. Back for Shuey. Prepared to use the left boot, get it to centre half forward. Cripps well handled at ground level. Kennedy wasn't in the right spot for where the ball was headed. It wasn't his fault. And now they're on the way out again. Rampy. Let's kick that to the boundary line.
Strange kick.
They've appealed for deliberate, and they're going to get it. Oh.
Now, that's not the intent of the kick.
You didn't think?
No, but they're obviously instructed, the umpires, and I understand that. But if there's no teammate near the kick,
now looks, it just goes over, Jace. They're going to pay because that was just a bad kick. That's all it was.
Kennedy, and he starts it. Richards is the man that connects the centre half forward. What a collect on the half volley.
Smart.
Yep, just waited because there's nothing inside 50 for him. No prominent targets, but he's back there now. And that will make them nervous. Heaney's also a longer option. The pocket instead for Sinclair. Got hands to it.
He's trying to claim it.
I've got it outside.
Nananui over the top. Follow-up was great by Tippett. Mitchell tried to fight the world and was probably a bit lucky. Maybe the ball slipped out.
So they'll try and lock the ball in here, Sydney. They've got everyone in the forward half of the ground.
Frittis. Kennedy.
Every stoppage here is like gold to the Swans. It just keeps chewing time off the clock. You can't get hurt when you've got the ball and you're attacking 50.
Curtis Mitchell fires out another handball. Lloyd to full forward. McLean, caught one play on. Schofield. As deliberate as you like, but there's pressure there.
Now we're going down the middle. It looks like Hearn's waiting for him.
Kenny Richards! What a day he's had off to Franklin. That is a monstrous kick from Buddy! That's it behind.
She made the distance. Kicked that from well inside the square. Look at Teddy Richards with the sit. That's a beauty.
That's number 6 for contested marks for Teddy Richards today.
He's got so much confidence right now. Thinks he can take everything. Cripps gets a little break for the West Coast. Looks into the 50. It wasn't a lot for him there. Darling. Nick Smith back with the flight. Darling keeps his feet, but it's a behind only.
He's taken hangers. He's kicked the goal and was able to run back and just get celebrations. Big celebration with his teammates. That's a big jump.
The beautiful push off and then just laid back horizontal.
Sinclair has to back. He did well. Got to the front of the pack. Lloyd's handball misses the mark. Jeddah as they try again. And Gaff inside the 50. Will he go back and have the shot? No, he's got a teammate in a better spot, and that's Shepherd.
Even there you can see Shepherd time conscious. He jogged back from the mark.
Yep. Go down the other end. If Sydney's in this position, they're watching the scoreboard, letting that shot clock go right down.
So Brad Shepherd hasn't kicked a goal so far this year, spends so much of his time in defence. Shake it ahead. Frustrating time for the West Coast Eagles. Only 7 goals for the day.
Yeah, they've actually had twice as many scoring shots as Swans. There's 24 scoring shots in 12. That's quite a dominant disparity.
Good mark, Robinson. Andy Robinson at half-back. Second mark of the day. Happy to swing it across defence to Nick Smith.
He can go straight back to Cunningham over the other side if he wants.
He was going to, and he will. Guinness might be able to intercept here. Get it back on West Coast terms. Darling. Oh, he's darting everywhere. What's the best option? Screws it back to the square. That's to Grundy's favour. Although Hill arrived on the scene and it could have fallen for him.
He got that all wrong, Nick Smith, didn't he? The moment he hesitated, he lost the opportunity to make that kick to Cunningham. And then when he went back there, he was closed down.
Adanui takes the grab for West Coast.
Not sure why you do that defensively coming out. Kick it to Nick Natanui. Go the other side.
And McGovern was the other one there. Darling and Kennedy.
Well done, Bills. Oh, now he's called play on. He's had a quiet day, Sinclair. He was outmarked by Natanui a moment ago. This time McGovern. Just the 4 possessions for Sinclair.
Play on.
They'll land this at the top of the square. And Hill's claimed the mark.
Got it.
I think a couple of the Eagles got bits of that.
Now he shouldn't have any trouble from here, so close to the goals.
He's passed it instead.
I was going to say, but with the 10-metre protective rule, I mean, he could have walked out and done it very, very easily from just a few metres out.
Bruce Jeddah over 100 games for Sydney.
Crowd talking to him, Hutto.
Yep. Had the calf injury. Wouldn't want to shank it. Definitely wouldn't want to shank it.
Oh, no. You just want to dig a hole now.
West Coast fans are not going to be happy with you.
Kieran Jack just told him about it.
Yep.
Mills. Tippett. Robinson shovel it out. Parker. Next one from Jack to Mitchell, who handled it well under severe stress. Shepherd tries to counter, does successfully. Yo hasn't been a big factor as the game's worn on. Jack again back to Cunningham. Just Sydney players everywhere, all to get involved. Lloyd back to the wing, well handled by Hearn. Hard man to get past. Angles the kick into the middle.
Gee, that's
fumble from Marston. Gaff.
Great tackle.
Swing and a miss. It was Jack with a tackle. And now Franklin. Got Kennedy and Mitchell pushing wide for the poking kick.
They've got options. They've just got to think their way through it. There's loose players everywhere.
Sinclair, the longest of those options. Hearn comes at him. Sinclair again.
It's a goal.
It is.
Papley again.
Papley, Tommy boy, puts it through. And that's his second. And that surely is a very, very big task for West Coast now.
Great transition from Sydney. The defence straight down the ground. We're able to get some good momentum with the ball, kept it going forward. Sinclair keeps it alive. Papley's been excellent, Jason, the way that he's played today. Whenever the ball's hit the deck in their forward line, he's been there to create a tackle, get onto it, push it forward, tap it to advantage of a teammate, and get on the scoreboard himself.
He started the ball beautifully and has been pretty consistent throughout the course of the match. Now he gets his second goal on the board.
That's what you like from a young player. When the heat's in the game really early first quarter, he was one of the ones that was standing up for the Swans.
Jetta holding off and now releases for Darling. Got optimum position, went to ground. Mark not paid. Now they try and close it up. Cripps feeling the heat and the intensity of the tackling, which has been brilliant by the Swans. Kennedy the same. Darling tries to bulldoze his way through. Yo. Ball under the nose. Now out from Mills. McCubbin, what a marking force he is. Welling, I'm not sure he's expecting it. Scraps it inside 50. Well done by Sinclair, got his body in the right spot and takes the mark.
We spoke about Sinclair, who kicked a goal early in the match, got off to a decent start, but since then very quiet. This is just his 5th possession, and Lewis Jetta, the other one playing against his old side, just the 12 possessions and just missed a very easy shot for goal, so neither of them has had much of a day.
Back to the wing, the Swans outnumbered them again.
I think Isaac Heaney's saying I never had possession in the first place.
Good kick.
It's coming back to Liam Duggan.
Liam Duggan's got to run back about 50 metres to take this.
Did he ever have possession?
I reckon it was Butler who had the tackle.
He only had it in one hand briefly, didn't he? And John Longmire can't believe it. Oh, no!
I think we might see that again in some highlights clips through the year. Oh, Grundy takes the mark.
Grundy and Richards have been very good today.
Mark number 7 for Heath Grundy.
Move it on now, play on.
They continue to be the rock, don't they? That back 6 for the Swans. Plenty of questions about them, about their ball use, but what a firm they are with Richards and Grundy and Smith and Rampy. There is Grundy. Kicked 3 goals in his first game of AFL footy. Looked like he was going to be a third forward.
Too easy, out-bodying a big fella.
He's on target for his 200th game later this season, Heath Grundy. Here's Jetta and that renowned pace. Sends him inside. Hill, skirting past was that man Kennedy. Got through to Cripps. Darling. The counter from Lloyd. From half-back, can they start some run? Mitchell sneaks in front of the give. And now the procession through the middle for Franklin. Let's have a look what Buddy's got. He goes for a handball back into the crowd. That wasn't ideal for McGlynn.
Well, the kick didn't need to go to Franklin to start with. They had 3 or 4 runners through the middle of the ground, Sydney. They could have run and carried it by hand and they would have made sure of a shot on goal. And once Franklin got it, there was no one then ahead of him.
Yo thumped it out to the delight of Lloyd, whose smile grows a little more after that.
There's a classic case of third man up doesn't work unless everyone's on the same page.
I don't think anyone was on the page, Jason, and that with that example, it was up, it was a big hit out, you're spot on, went straight to a wall of Sydney players. There it is there, no one there for West Coast, and Lloyd just able to control a left footer to the goal square, enable it to bounce through, so an excellent kick from Lloyd.
Swans on target for their 7th consecutive win here at the SCG. I mentioned West Coast beat them last time. Before that, the Swans had won 8 consecutive games against the Eagles, so they had been a dominant team against West Coast. And it's returned to order today. And they're hungry for more. Hewitt with the mark.
Looked lively, particularly in the second half.
Meany's deep. Shepherd knew where it was coming. Shuey runs straight into Franklin and looks worse for wear. Some tired boys out.
It's been interesting with Nick Nui today. Look, he's had his 7 hits to advantage to West Coast, but he's also had 9 sharks direct off his hand from Sydney. So the work that they've put into making sure that they try and nullify him getting it to his own teammates has been very good.
McLean. 38 points.
Yeah, it's turned into a big margin, hasn't it? They've just worked Sydney over relentlessly since quarter time. Big one down the middle coming from Hearn, you'd expect.
Moving on now, play on.
Scored a goal for over a quarter.
Only fools us. They're all set up down there.
Thanks, Josh. Right on it now.
Trying to show urgency for the West Coast. Marston had plenty of the footy today, returning to form numbers-wise, 27th disposal. Wellingham, they're going backwards though. Gaff, Hearn changes that. Richards. Grundy, Smith.
Play on!
Gaff controls it. Redden. Still finding his way and his role, I think, in this West Coast team, Jack Redden. In terms of numbers, not the same sort of numbers he was able to put up for Brisbane. Now, Cripps clearly not confident he can kick the goal. Looking to handball, instead just a hokey-pokey little pass. Intercepted by Jack.
That's to nobody.
Kicked it out to Tumbleweeds. Butler. All the way back from McKenzie. Marston. And now Kennedy comes up to take the mark. Another one smothered. Can't take a trick at the moment, the West Coast.
Ted Richards. Ted Richards high.
It's all happening for Teddy. He did get a poke in the eye. And here he is, Teddy Richards. I wonder how many Brownlow votes he's received in the past, Jono. We'll have to check that out.
We will.
Could be in the frame today. Hanbury, and here's Buddy. Oh, that high. Franklin with 18 disposals now.
Yeah, he's had 6 shots at goal as well, Buddy.
He needs 2 more goals to keep his 4 goals a game going.
He's looking for a hand pass here.
There we go, give it.
Come out.
Hewitt thinking about it. Sets it up instead. Tippett.
Yes.
Oh, he dropped it.
Oh. Nick Smith. He might be able to kick a goal too. Heaney, Hearn. He's done a power of work up there.
Play on.
They're on the way out. That supporter hasn't quite.
No.
Nothing.
He's giving some good feedback, that supporter.
Thanks, Dane. You again.
Yo.
Mills and Lacroix going out at the moment. Mills defensively not letting Lacroix get back. It's good defensive work from Mills, actually putting body on as Lacroix is trying to get back. Lacroix getting a little bit frustrated with it.
And that's not easy for a young player to do to an experienced star of the competition. You know, someone that's been a very, very high-level player for a long time in Lacroix.
Oh, Butler just able to hold firm, takes the mark. And we'll line them up.
I reckon Lloyd made a good decision then. Yes. If he had kept going, he would have cleaned Butler up and it would have been a 50.
Come on, Elliot. Thank you.
He's heading towards 150 games, Sam Butler. It's been a long journey for him. Last remaining premiership player from 2006.
Desperate to give this off to someone.
16 goals, 22. Well, it doesn't give you a huge amount of confidence. It's a long way out. And you realise that. To the top of the square.
Touch, play on.
They fight amongst themselves a bit. Natanui. Richards. And a ball up.
Easy, straight up. Thanks, Ted. Back this way.
Hurried kick from Richards, who has 7 Brownlow votes in his career of 257 games.
He could be in them today. I reckon he's been one of the best few players out in the ground.
Hearn. There's a monstrous kick. He almost gets through. Hill. Robinson over the ball. Prittis. his 26th disposal. Could have gone anywhere. Shuey and Buddy in the tangle. Wellingham. They're getting a lot of the footy at the moment, West Coast, but not much is happening with it. Yo.
It's been that frontal pressure that's really been impressive from Sydney. Look, and then they get outnumbered around the contest. They've been able to close West Coast up and then get run and drive from their midfielders. Really impressive once again from the Swans as a collective 22.
There wasn't a lot on for Hewitt. He was keen to go forward, but it was hard yards. And we're going to have a ball up. 3.5 minutes remaining. This is going to be a fine victory for the Sydney Swans.
Good work by the ump, just helping Kennedy up there.
Franklin for number 3. Oh, he hits the post.
Flush.
2 goals, 5.
Scored 143 goals in 43 games, Buddy, for Sydney. Scored 140 for the Hawks in his last 43. So pretty similar sort of numbers. That was before today. It's over the line and out of bounds.
To see Shannon Hearn at some stage unleash a barrel with the goals. He had Nick Natanui in the centre circle waiting for a long bomb. I reckon he was tempted. I'd love to see him really let loose.
He should have launched when he had a set shot before from 55.
Hopefully we've got one more highlight in this game. Maybe a little bit of Buddy magic.
Yeah, players are pretty spent, aren't they, Hutto? So we hope something magical might happen if Sydney can keep pushing this ball forward.
John Longmire, John Blakey on the left. I reckon they'd be pretty satisfied with the afternoon's work.
No doubt. Been a great start to the season. They went down to Adelaide last week, but I wouldn't have lost too many friends. It was a fantastic game of footy.
I reckon there won't be that many teams that go to the Adelaide Oval and beat the Crows.
No.
A fumble from Redden. Tackle came from Mills. Prittis doing his best.
Oh, good contest.
Oh, and Hanbury's hurt.
Yeah, I think he is.
Let's hope he's okay. Missing pain.
He's okay.
He's all right. He's a tough unit, isn't he?
But I love the way both players protected themselves going for that ball. They turned side on. Both cracked it at the contest, but both now standing up from that contest, ready to go again.
Down to 2:35. Robinson took it and then was taken.
It's a good point you make, Jono, because the players can go a long way towards alleviating any issues by both getting their heads out of the way.
Protect your head.
Yep.
But still have a fierce go at the ball.
Yeah, really like that.
Kennedy. Maybe a polite appeal for deliberate from a few of the West Coast players. Nothing doing from the umpire.
Look at that. He just gets them over the line. Look at Hanbury as well. 18 between them, the two key midfielders for the Swans. No midfielders for West Coast in the top 5 this last quarter.
He just copped on Hanbury off the side of the pack.
And that hurts, that one.
Free kick going to Parker. There's no hiding the pain there.
No.
Hanbury.
I mean, friendly fire, was it?
McGovern. They have gone to a standstill
here.
We go. Except Buddy. Tippett and Schofield, and I reckon that's on the foot.
Yeah, I reckon Dan Hanbury copped a bit of friendly fire from Luke Parker before. Watch the hand of Parker come around and just poke in the eye.
Schofield back to half back. Kennedy hasn't really been his day. Tough for the West Coast forwards. Swans defence have been outstanding. Kennedy 2 goals. He's their only multiple goal kicker. He's had 17 disposals. Josh Kennedy from West Coast, as we continue to watch the pain of Dan Hanbury. Parker shows a clean pair of heels for the Swans. Fell nicely for Heaney. Off the outside of the boot, set up for Jack.
Franklin one out, wants it long. That's in his direction.
In the general direction, and didn't get the bounce he was after. McGovern was onto it. Back goes McKenzie. Now Hearn. He's tried his heart out all day. kick was set up for that man, Josh Kennedy. We're inside the last minute at the SCG.
He hits that kick so well, Shannon Hurd.
Flicks out the handball to Gaff. And players can barely move right now. Elliot Yeo. There's not a lot of running going on. Schofield's still got some energy. Teddy's full of it too. He is full of energy. He's had a day out, Teddy.
Killed him, Hutto. He has been the dominant player on the ground for me. Kicking goals, he's taken hangers, he's had 7 contested marks, defensively been brilliant.
I think only Kenny's had a better day than him.
Yes.
Tippett shows his leaping ability, can't take the mark. The Eagles continue to rack up some numbers, but it's not going to mean too much late in the game. Mark not paid. A couple of seconds away from the siren. The triumphant Sydney Swans do it again at home at the SCG. Protect their territory. They're going to be hard to beat up here, and they could be hard to beat anywhere this year. Another victory for the Swans. That's 4 out of 5. They get the job done against the West Coast by 39 points.
Great display from Sydney. They were challenged at certain times, but as a midfield group, once again, they were able to push to contest after contest, create great body pressure around the contest. They were clean on the ground in these trying conditions, wet conditions, and they just worked West Coast over in the, especially the second half of this game. That's a big victory for Sydney.
Yeah, disappointing West Coast's final term. They went goalless in that fourth quarter when you thought they might be able to fashion some sort of run at the Swans, but take nothing away from the Swans. This is super impressive. But West Coast had the best of things in the first term, but then the next 3 quarters was owned by the Swans.
Well, we like to get the big names when we do the post-match interviews. You know, the goal kickers, the stars, the big high markers. So let's get down to Moons.
I'm down here with Teddy Richards. Teddy, a fantastic fight back from last week from you guys, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a really intense pressure game last week, and we thought it'd be a good lead-in because we saw what West Coast have been on all year, especially last week. So once again, the intensity was up.
After that first quarter, look like they started the game extremely well. They got the crowd out of it. That second quarter, you guys really beat them up around the ball. Defensively, you guys were excellent today.
Well, yeah, it's probably a bit of a weird game because the conditions are coming in and out of the game. Sometimes it's wet, sometimes you could play clean, free-flowing football. So, yeah, there were shifts in momentum throughout the game, and when they were able to kick a couple of consecutive goals, we were able to get one back.
Haven't seen too many Sydney sides over the years, particularly with your time being here. You got some really good young stars coming through, and happily today was excellent.
Yeah. I guess at the start of the year, a lot of question marks about our depth. So for these young guys that probably aren't heard of at the start of the year to come in and make the impact that they have, you know, got George Hewitt as well, who's coming to the team this week. It's exciting to see.
I reckon you would have been about 12 the last time you kicked a goal and took mark of the day.
Oh, the last time I kicked a goal, I was in New Zealand playing the Saints. Yeah, that's how long ago it was.
Congratulations, mate. Well done.
Thanks, man.
It's a great line, isn't it? The last time he kicked a goal, he was in another country. But Teddy Richards having a day out today and helping the Sydney Swans to, in the end, a pretty emphatic 39-point victory. Still plenty more to come. It's the Gold Coast Suns hosting North Melbourne. Kangaroos have made one late change. Wood is out, but Kane Turner comes into the lineup for the Kangaroos. In fact, we might check on the latest sports bet odds now of that game with Nathan Brown.
Thanks, Sandy. Well, the punters see with no May and no Rory Thompson, the Kangaroos might have a field day here, and they have been really well backed. $1.36, Gold Coast at home, $3.25, lost to the Lions last week. Now, we've got a mega bet on this one with so many defenders out. Jared Waite, what about this man's form? He is unbelievable. To kick 5 goals and the Kangaroos to win, well, that's at $6. I reckon he might just about get it. If you place a head-to-head bet on any AFL game and your team leads at any break but goes to lose that game, cash back up to $50 straight back into your skyrocket. Please always gamble responsibly.
Good on you, Brownie. Thank you for that. Let's have a look at the ladder. Of course, only a couple of games settled at the moment, but what it means is that Sydney Swans, by virtue of their percentage, have moved to the top of the table. North Melbourne's coming up, so they may be able to jump back depending on how they fare against the Suns. Hawthorn in 3rd spot and the Dogs in 4th. We look down the ladder. Gold Coast Suns, an important game for them too, against North Melbourne. And speaking of North, there they are. The Kangaroos in the rooms. It's a warm day up there, around 27, 28 degrees. Going to be a tough test for all players.
below a price on a stocked item, we'll beat it by 10%.
Lowest prices are just the beginning.
Harvey Norman Super Weekend with 5 years interest-free. Samsung 48-inch Full HD TV, a super $799. Blitz to Go Active Blender, now only $19. Guaranteed 10 to 20% off laptops, desktops and all-in-one computers in stock. 25% off Australian-made lounges, dining and occasional furniture. Up to 50% off mattresses, ensembles and Manchester. 30% off selected rugs. Many more super deals in-store and online with 5 years interest-free. Harvey Norman Super Weekend.
Go! It's Sportsbet's AFL special. For rounds 1 to 8 in the AFL, place a head-to-head bet. And if your team lead at any break but lose, cash back up to $50. Get in a footy with Sportsbet.
Time for a bit of a competition.
Yes!
Oh, yes. No, it doesn't count. Boom. Look at that. That's brilliant. Oh, yes. Yes. 3 legs. Yes. Oh! Oh, hang on. Hold on. Oh my God! I always thought I was the best kick, but I actually am. Mate, congratulations. I still can't believe it.
Only Fox Sports brings you every practice, qualifying and race from every round of the 2016 V8 Supercars Championship live in HD. The home of V8 Supercars, Fox Sports. Anzac Round on Super Saturday. Your ultimate footy coverage.
He's on class!
At 7:30, Port Adelaide, Geelong. Live in HD with no ad breaks during play. Fox Footy.
Cam Mooney at the moment. You're right there, Moose. Give us a wave out of there. There he is. Well, conditions are getting very tough.
He's hosing down at the moment.
Teddy Richards. Surely not from Teddy. The fullback turned full forward. And doesn't he love that? But he can't believe it.
He's surprised.
Oh, Teddy Richards. What a day he's had.
Look at Teddy Richards with the stick.
Teddy's pretty happy.
Toughen up, Moons. Only a bit of rain, but what a day out it was for Teddy Richards. That goal that he kicked is the first one he's kicked in Australia for 2,099 days. He did actually kick one against the Saints in New Zealand, but that was only 1,095 days ago. Let's have a look at the score combo and we'll see how they did it. 12-16, 88 to 7-7, 49. Disappointing finish by the Eagles, but Sydney finished really well. Papley, Franklin and McVeigh each contributed 2. Kennedy, Hanbury, Parker. The midfields of both sides getting plenty of the football, but in the end it was the Sydney Swans